Using NFTs to find the next great story. Summary. In this episode of Overpriced JPGs, host Aaron M. Wright interviews John Rogers, ex-head of franchise development at Disney Studios about the growing influence of Web3 and NFTs in the entertainment industry. Here are the main points discussed. 1. Superplastic and Amazon deal. Superplastic, a character brand company, signed a first-look arrangement with Amazon, granting Amazon the first right of refusal for their ideas or projects. The speaker anticipates more deals like this in the future, demonstrating the increasing impact of Web3 projects in the entertainment industry. The importance of first-look partnerships, such as the Amazon Superplastic deal, is emphasized, with the partnership being notable for being the first of its kind, including a show in development, Genki and Guguman, and involving a $20 million investment from Amazon. 2. Blockchain's impact on the value chain in Hollywood production. The episode focuses on three main buckets in which blockchain can affect the value chain: development, production, and distribution. The Superplastic and Amazon deal falls within the development bucket, illustrating how Web3 projects can lead to partnerships with major media companies. In future episodes, the speakers plan to discuss how blockchain can impact production and distribution aspects of the entertainment industry as well. 3. Hollywood talent and Baobab Studios Mamaguru NFTs. The conversation notes the growing involvement of high-profile Hollywood talent in the Web3 and NFT space, using Baobab Studios' Mamaguru project as an example. This project unites renowned storytellers and artists to develop new IP in the Web3 realm, signaling increased legitimacy and interest in the space. 4. Pudgy Penguins and Retail Monster Partnership. The discussion highlights the significance of storytelling and supplementary content in supporting product sales. Pudgy Penguins, with its $2.5 million brand acquisition, requires revenue generation. Founder Luca sees storytelling and social media marketing as key for broadening the project's reach and plans to engage storytellers for further development. 5. Lollipop Racing Project. Lollipop Racing, an innovative storytelling project linked to professional auto racing, is being developed by Feature, with David Ayer, Fast and the Furious creator, as showrunner. 6. The current state of Hollywood development and its challenges. The speakers discuss how Hollywood has shifted to a franchise model since around 2005 and the impact of risk aversion on the industry. They explain that Hollywood has stopped investing in new intellectual property, IP, instead relying on existing franchises and previously mined content. The growing need for new IP due to the streaming boom has left studios struggling to find fresh content that can guarantee success. The speakers also mention Reese Witherspoon's production company, Hello Sunshine, as an example of a successful, niche-focused model. 7. The potential of blockchain and Web3 in Hollywood development. The speakers suggest that blockchain and Web3 could help improve the Hollywood development process by acting as an additive element. They argue that studios should establish first-look deals with major Web3 creators, studio partners, or individual creators to bring new IPs with a passionate community behind them. Furthermore, they envision studios developing their own IPs in partnership with Web3 entities and testing them as Web3 projects before committing to turning them into shows or films. This approach could provide a lower-cost way to test IPs, similar to how social media helps gauge audience interest before investing in more substantial content. 8. Disney, despite its vast IP portfolio, could benefit from blockchain technology to create new IP internally by partnering with successful blockchain projects. Using blockchain technology for low-cost, high-visibility distribution of NFTs related to IPs, Disney can gather audience feedback and identify popular projects. 9. The speakers address concerns about the NFT community being too niche, emphasizing the goal of involving a diverse audience in the process. Disney's partnership with a Nigerian animation studio exemplifies their interest in diverse voices. As the Web3 community becomes more mainstream, it could help studios like Disney discover and collaborate with overlooked talents. 10. The potential of NFTs and Web3 technology for creating communities around characters and IPs in the entertainment industry is discussed. Studios should consider hiring a dedicated person to integrate these technologies and explore alternative IP sources. NFTs and Web3 technology can enable effective creation and management of fan clubs. Decision-makers in the entertainment industry are encouraged to consider the potential losses of not exploring these opportunities and the need for innovation. Content type, weekly top 5. Content publisher, overpriced JPGs. Publish date, April 2023. Sats and Gwei, Nigeria x Crypto x FDI, Paxful shutdown repercussions, US x Crypto assassination. Summary. The conversation covers various topics in the news related to cryptocurrencies and the African continent. The main points discussed are, crypto market update. The hosts provide an update on the performance of various cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin, Ethereum, Optimism, Matic, and the Bank token. They also discuss the exchange rates of several African currencies to the US dollar, such as the Ghanaian cedi, Nigerian naira, South African rand, Kenyan shilling, and the Central African CFA franc. Nigerian foreign direct investment decline. The conversation highlights a decline in foreign direct investment, FDI, in Nigeria due to a shortage of dollars and lack of crypto regulation. Despite Nigeria ranking 8th in the world for crypto adoption and usage among 154 countries, the lack of regulation and mainstream adoption of cryptocurrencies has affected FDI, leading to a decline of 33% in 2022 compared to 2021. Paxful shutdown. The hosts discuss the unexpected shutdown of Paxful, a peer-to-peer cryptocurrency marketplace, which has left the Nigerian crypto community uncertain. Paxful's decision to shut down operations is attributed to key staff departures and regulatory challenges, but the hosts speculate that there could be more to the story than what is currently known. Blockchain technology in property transactions. The speakers discusses a blockchain solution that allows buyers to make informed decisions when buying land, increasing transparency and value. The innovation enables users to have access to opportunities and platforms in a more efficient way, saving time and reducing the need to deal with bureaucracy. The speaker also suggests that this technology could potentially encourage more people to invest in property. U.S. regulatory stance on cryptocurrencies. The speaker highlights the opinion of a South African professor who speculates that the U.S. is trying to assassinate crypto through coordinated and possibly illegal efforts. The speaker points out that despite the ongoing regulatory crackdown, cryptocurrencies continue to grow and thrive globally. They emphasize that the industry is too big to fail and that regulators should come to terms with the fact that cryptocurrencies are not going away anytime soon. The speaker also criticizes attempts to discredit cryptocurrencies and argues that change is good, especially when it has the potential to transform lives and make processes more seamless. Content type, news coverage. Content publisher, Bankless Africa. Publish date, April 2023. Assimilating the Borg, Crypto Law Entity Framework, Part 1 of 3. Summary. The blog post, Assimilating the Borg, a new framework for crypto law entities, discusses a new concept called the Cybernetic Organization, Cyborg or Borg, which is a traditional legal entity that uses autonomous technologies, such as smart contracts and AI, to augment its governance and activities. Here are the main points discussed: Borg varieties and purpose. The post explains that there are two main types of Borgs: A. Tech-augmented companies, like corporations with tokenized, programmable shares, and B. Trust-mitigated, accountable, DAO-adjacent entities, like a foundation that wraps an emergency multisig for a DeFi protocol but gives the DAO on-chain control over the multisig's powers. The purpose of Borgs is to allow DAOs to remain the supreme form of Internet-native organizations while other forms of blockchain-augmented organizations can experiment under their own identity. The article also critiques the recent attempts to wrap DAOs into traditional legal entities or lobby governments to pass laws regulating DAOs. DAO identity crisis and Borgs as a solution. The article highlights the identity crisis that many organizations called DAOs are facing, where they have evolved into complex non-compliant off-chain businesses or are trust-maximizing without technological security guarantees or legal rights. The author proposes Borgs as a solution to these issues by a. recharacterizing some purported DAOs, such as venture DAOs, guild DAOs, and crowdfund juicebox DAOs, as business Borgs pursuing their unique form of blockchain-based innovation, and b. moving legally sensitive DAO-adjacent social business activities out of DAOs and into DAO-adjacent Borgs like security Borgs, grants Borgs, and IP Borgs. This approach allows for continued innovation in tech-augmented legal entities while restoring the original concept of DAOs. Increasing complexity and deviation from the original concept, the author argues that DAOs have transformed into horizontally and vertically integrated business enterprises that combine aspects of hedge funds, venture funds, social clubs, and technology development companies. More of their activity occurs off-chain than on-chain, and much of their value may also exist off-chain. The author believes that the term DAO has been applied so broadly that it no longer has a clear and distinct meaning. It now refers to any group of people engaging in virtually any kind of activity that uses smart contracts or blockchains to some extent or is otherwise pro-crypto. Erosion of security and governance practices. The blog highlights how many purported DAOs have abandoned the security-conscious, cypherpunk ethos while also failing to adopt good traditional political corporate governance practices. This has led to a trust-maximizing approach, which is objectively inferior to even traditional financial alternatives such as public corporations. Examples of such trust-maximized setups include DAOs where token holders only take snapshot votes and must rely on a small team of multi-sig signers, or DAOs in which a foundation entity can take unilateral action and seek ratification afterward. The author argues that this worst of both worlds scenario exposes stakeholders to potential abuses of discretion without adequate technological or legal protections. Entity-based solutions. The blog outlines 3 types of entity-based solutions for DAOs, which involve forming legal entities to interact with the DAO and provide varying degrees of protection, responsibility, and legal structure. Full entity wrappers. These involve creating a legal entity, often a limited liability company, that essentially functions as the DAO. Examples include the Metacartel Ventures DAO and Lex DAO. This structure offers clear limited liability protections to DAO participants. B. Partial entity wrappers. In this approach, a legal entity, often a foundation or trust company, is created to execute all or most of the DAO's activities, with its governing documents requiring the entity to be responsive to DAO governance. The entity may serve as a liability sponge, but DAO participants do not benefit directly from its limited liability shield. Examples include the API3 Foundation and the Pocket Foundation. C. Adjacent entities. These entities are relevant and partially responsive to a DAO or protocol community but are more independent or specialized than wrapper entities. They can be fully independent, partially independent, or specialized, and examples include the Ethereum Foundation, the ENS Foundation, and MakerDAO's various trust entities. Read Part 2, Content Type, Article Blog Post. Content Publisher, Delphi Labs. Published date, April 2023. Assimilating the Borg, Crypto Law Entity Framework, Part 2 of 3. Summary. The blog post, Assimilating the Borg, a new framework for crypto law entities, discusses a new concept called the cybernetic organization, cyborg or Borg, which is a traditional legal entity that uses autonomous technologies, such as smart contracts and AI, to augment its governance and activities. Here are the main points discussed. Non-entity solutions. The blog discusses 2 types of non-entity solutions that attempt to create legal structures without forming legal entities. DAO constitutions. Unincorporated DAOs may adopt constitutions to establish guidelines, rules, or principles for their operation. However, the legal implications of these documents are often unclear or uncertain, and they can lead to chaotic and novel legal disputes if not carefully handled. B. DAO agreements. DAO participants can enter into bespoke agreements, such as multi-sig participation agreements or joint defense agreements, to arrange their legal affairs. This approach does not imply that the DAO operates as a joint enterprise and can be sued but instead focuses on individual arrangements among participants. Restoring the original meaning of DAOs. The blog suggests that the term DAO should be reserved for on-chain organizations that meet the criteria set out by Stan Larimer, Dan Larimer, and Vitalik Buterin in their seminal essays on DAX and DAOs. The Borg model proposes a separate category for innovative, tech-forward entities, allowing DAOs to retain their original meaning. Recharacterizing some purported DAOs as Borgs. Many organizations that currently claim to be DAOs, such as LLC-wrapped or co-op-wrapped venture DAOs, guild DAOs, NFT social IP clubs, etc., can instead embrace their true nature as cybernetically enhanced entities by adopting the Borg paradigm. Borgs are legal business entities that adopt cutting-edge technologies into their charter documents and integrate them into their day-to-day operations. By recharacterizing these organizations as Borgs, they can avoid the struggle of claiming to be decentralized and autonomous when they are not, and focus on pioneering a mix of technology, law, and social experimentation. Transition from PCV to PBV Borgs. The blog proposes a shift from Protocol Controlled Value, PCV, to Protocol Beneficial Value, PBV, which can help address various legal concerns, such as property rights, tax obligations, and securities and commodities regulations. By donating all PBV to a Borg, preferably in a low-tax or no-tax jurisdiction, the DAO can manage its assets in a more legally compliant way. The blog outlines several governance rules that can be implemented to strike a balance between trusting the PBV entity's management and not disrupting the DAO's expectations for how PBV will be used. Different types of Borgs. The blog presents various types of DAO-adjacent Borgs that can serve specific purposes, such as a. RWA Borgs. These Borgs are designed to hold real-world assets relevant to a protocol, such as securities in entities that own assets like real estate. The blog suggests that turning these entities into Borgs, which are subject to on-chain DAO controls, would make sense in the future. B. Grant Borgs. These Borgs are responsible for managing and distributing grants to projects, developers, and other initiatives that align with the goals and objectives of the associated DAO. They follow a transparent and accountable process for evaluating grant proposals, making funding decisions, and monitoring the progress of funded projects. C. IP Borgs. These Borgs manage and protect the intellectual property assets associated with a DAO, such as patents, trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets. They work to ensure that the DAO's IP is properly registered, maintained, and enforced while also respecting the rights of others in the ecosystem. Securities law issues. The post first analyzes the treatment of tokens under U.S. securities law, focusing on utility app tokens and medium of exchange tokens that have been the subject of successful legal claims by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. It then discusses the SEC's 2017 DAO report, which dealt with an early example of a venture DAO, emphasizing the issues that made it not a true DAO according to their definition. The blog suggests that true DAOs should be considered partnership-like unincorporated associations existing outside of the securities laws, and if regulations are necessary, they should be tailored to address the specific risks and challenges presented by decentralized autonomous cryptosystems. Read Part 3, Content Type, Article Blog Post. Content Publisher, Delphi Labs. Publish Date, April 2023. Assimilating the Borg, Crypto Law Entity Framework, Part 3 of 3. Summary. The blog post, Assimilating the Borg, a new framework for crypto law entities, discusses a new concept called the cybernetic organization, cyborg or Borg, which is a traditional legal entity that uses autonomous technologies, such as smart contracts and AI, to augment its governance and activities. Here are the main points discussed. Conduct-based liability issues. The post examines potential liability risks for DAOs and their participants due to their decision-making processes and discretionary powers. It argues that the main liability vector for DAOs can be analogized to that of a software developer and/or a business that operates software as a service. However, the DAO's potential responsibility can be even less than those nearest analogs. The post suggests that liability associated with such activities can be contractually limited and can be further mitigated by DAO participants participating in the DAO through their individual entities rather than wrapping the entire DAO in an entity. Software operator liability. The blog analyzes the potential liability of a DAO as a software operator, comparing its role to that of a SaaS software provider or a protocol governance body like ICANN. It discusses how the liability risk faced by DAOs can be lower than that of a SaaS operator, as validators and miners perform more of the work than the DAO itself. The blog outlines three main sources of potential liability for a DAO as a software operator: committing product liability torts against users, committing breaches of contract against users, and violating applicable regulations. It then delves into the risks of product liability and contract liability, offering suggestions for minimizing these risks, such as clearer communication, disclaiming any intent to provide services, and avoiding the creation of fiduciary duties. Software developer liability. The blog argues that a DAO should not engage in software development, as it requires significant off-chain coordination and centralized management. Instead, this activity should be routed through a Borg, blockchain-based off-chain resource governance. However, the blog examines the potential liability of a DAO controlling or adopting particular software, finding that the analysis should be similar to that of software operators, but with even less likelihood of liability and more potential mechanisms for mitigating risks. The blog highlights the economic loss doctrine as a potential limitation on negligence claims and suggests various mechanisms developers can use to contractually limit liability, such as open-source licenses, disclaimers of liability, and risk disclosures. Tax implications for DAOs. The blog highlights the legal risk and tax implications for DAOs, especially those that lack decentralization and autonomy. If a DAO is considered a public partnership, it may be subject to taxes in multiple jurisdictions. This can lead to tax reporting obligations and possible tax liabilities. The post also explores the tax treatment of true DAOs, like Bitcoin or Ethereum, and argues that they may not be considered entities from a U.S. tax perspective, thus avoiding entity-level tax and tax reporting rules for token holders. The Borg model for tax mitigation. The blog proposes the use of DAO-adjacent Borgs, blockchain organizational governance, as a solution to tax issues. Borgs can be structured in a way that they are subject to tax only for their own activities and not the DAOs. By incorporating Borgs in low-tax or no-tax jurisdictions and using sound tax structuring strategies, their tax liabilities can be minimized. For this to work, Borgs must be truly independent and not merely alter egos of the DAO. The correct structuring will depend on various factors, including the type of DAO-adjacent Borg, the chosen jurisdiction, and the entity type used within that jurisdiction. Content type: article, blog post. Content publisher: Delphi Labs. Publish date: April 2023. Redefining how maps are built in a modern world. Summary. The conversation with HiveMapper founder Ariel revolves around the creation of HiveMapper. HiveMapper is a decentralized mapping platform that leverages 3D mapping technology and crowdsourced data to create detailed, real-time maps. With a community-driven approach, contributors use drones to collect and update mapping data, earning tokens for their efforts. Here are the main points discussed: the challenges in building a global map and how Google's approach is expensive and difficult to update frequently. Ariel highlights that Google's approach to building maps is expensive, which affects their ability to update the maps frequently and cover certain areas, especially in developing countries. He also emphasizes that building a global map is a difficult task that requires a significant amount of capital. The integration of crypto layer and development of the HiveMapper dashcam. To overcome the challenges in building a global map, Ariel talks about the development of HiveMapper, which started with drones but later switched to dashcams due to issues with battery technology and local government regulations. They decided to build their own dashcam and integrate a crypto layer to incentivize people to contribute to the mapping project. The dashcam includes high-quality GPS, location verification, and imaging components, all integrated with an app for data transfer. This approach aims to make data collection more accessible and efficient, allowing for a more comprehensive and up-to-date global map. The process of collecting and extracting information from raw data for map creation. Ariel explains that raw data is collected from various sources, such as images and videos captured by cameras, and then processed to extract detailed information about roads, lanes, speed limits, and other features. This information is used to create a map that can be utilized for turn-by-turn navigation and other purposes, such as logistics and business intelligence. Ariel highlights two main customer groups for map data: businesses, e.g. Google Maps, Uber, Yelp, and consumers. Businesses pay for up-to-date, high-quality data to optimize operations and save resources, while consumers enjoy the convenience of accurate maps and navigation. Contributors help build the map and earn tokens, following a community ownership model similar to crypto projects like Helium, aligning incentives for all participants to create a valuable product. Importance of building a useful product first. Ariel emphasizes the need to focus on creating a product that people want to use. They believe that concentrating on crypto prices and token trading can be a waste of time and energy, especially in the early stages of a project. The priority should be to develop the map, ensure it's useful to customers, and align economic incentives. Overcoming data collection challenges and scalability, Ariel outlines the journey of collecting map data through their dashcam system. They highlight the importance of establishing a fleet of drivers, transforming raw data into higher-value map objects, and making the data easily accessible to customers. They mention that some regions are beginning to have significant coverage, but the cost of the dashcam remains a challenge in expanding to new regions, such as India, Brazil, and African countries. Lowering the cost and partnering with hardware manufacturers could accelerate the project's growth and make it more accessible to a wider audience. The speakers are enthusiastic about decentralized physical infrastructure, DePIN, projects with real-world applications, like Hive Mapper, which offers value by allowing users to contribute to map building. They emphasize the importance of creating products that genuinely impact people's lives, rather than just focusing on blockchain technology or speculation. DePIN has the potential to disrupt large industries and introduce new competition. Ariel stresses the need to show real utility in crypto projects, like Hive Mapper, to attract more Web 2 engineers and developers to Web 3. By creating valuable, accessible, and user-friendly products, the crypto industry can overcome negative perceptions and bring in more talent. They also note the importance of filtering out scams and bad actors to improve the industry's reputation and acceptance. Ariel highlights the challenge of deep integration between blockchain technology and real-world applications, as blockchain represents only a small fraction of the broader economy. To reflect the broader economy, blockchain needs to move beyond niche applications like DeFi and NFTs and develop easy-to-understand, entertaining, and relevant solutions. Hive Mapper's Buzz is one such example, helping to drive blockchain adoption and understanding in everyday life, ultimately enabling it to scale and gain a larger presence at industry events. Content type, Weekly Top 5. Content publisher, Logan Jastremski Podcast. Publish date, April 2023. African Blockchain Report 2022, Part 1 of 4. Summary. The African Blockchain Report 2022 provides a detailed analysis of the blockchain landscape in Africa, focusing on the rapid growth and adoption of blockchain technology in the region. Here are the key points addressed. 1. Growth and implementation of blockchain technology in Africa. The report highlights that Africa is one of the fastest regions in the world for blockchain technology adoption and development. In 2022, African blockchain startups raised $474 million, a 429% YoY funding increase, the highest funding growth rate of any region. The continent's unique position with a young and populous demographic has created a favorable environment for blockchain technology to tackle real-world issues such as financial infrastructure, personal identification, record-keeping, and access to financial independence. 2. Need for comprehensive, up-to-date information on blockchain activities and regulatory developments in Africa. Despite the thriving ecosystem and soaring crypto adoption rates, there is a need for consolidated information about blockchain technology, funding, regulations, company data, and innovation in the region. The African Blockchain Report, published by CVVC in collaboration with Standard Bank, addresses this need by providing insights into African blockchain-related activities, including the latest funding data, regulatory updates across various countries, and industry advancements. This comprehensive overview helps to bridge the knowledge gap, which is crucial for driving innovation and attracting more investors and entrepreneurs to the continent. 3. African venture funding. In 2022, Africa saw $3.14 billion raised across 570 deals, a 34% increase in funding and a 5.4% increase in the number of deals compared to 2021. The largest funding nations in Africa were Kenya, $895 million, Nigeria, $563 million, South Africa, $456 million, and Egypt, $436 million. Early-stage deals made up 66% of the total, while mega-round deals increased by 20%. Africa's share of global venture funding increased from 0.37% in 2021 to 0.76% in 2022. 4. African blockchain venture funding. Blockchain funding deals increased by 12% YoY from 26 to 29. Seychelles and South Africa accounted for 81% of African blockchain funding in 2022. The custody and exchanges category was the highest funded in Africa, 52%, followed by fintech, 24%, and infrastructure and development, 15%. African blockchain funding growth outpaced general African venture funding growth, 429% versus 34%. 5. Record-breaking growth in blockchain venture funding. Despite global economic and socio-political challenges in 2022, blockchain venture funding reached an all-time high, surpassing 2021's record by 4%. The number of deals increased by nearly 30% compared to the previous year. In total, blockchain businesses raised $26.8 billion across 1,828 deals. The U.S. accounted for almost half of all deals, followed by Asia, 26%, and Europe, 21%. The growth in blockchain funding was driven by investors focusing on long-term, high-impact value in industries and regions. 6. Africa's emerging prominence in blockchain funding. The continent's blockchain funding growth rate surpassed that of the US, Asia, and Europe. Africa's blockchain-focused annual funding growth was 759% greater than Asia's, the next highest growth contender. Notably, Africa was the only region to experience an increase in median deal size and a triple-digit percentage increase in its share of the total global blockchain venture dollars raised. The continent also saw its first mega deal and the birth of its first and second blockchain unicorns in 2022. 7. Venture funding in African blockchain industries. The data showcases the funding amounts and the percentage of total funding allocated to various sectors within the African blockchain space in 2021 and 2022. The two largest sectors in terms of funding received in 2022 were custody and exchanges, accounting for 52.4% of the funding, and fintech, with 24.3% of the funding. In addition, the report highlights the top 5 African blockchain funding rounds in 2022, with KuCoin raising the most funds at $160 million. Read Part 2, Content Type, Reports. Content Publisher, Real Vision. Publish date, April 2023. African Blockchain Report 2022, Part 2 of 4. Summary. The African Blockchain Report 2022 provides a detailed analysis of the blockchain landscape in Africa, focusing on the rapid growth and adoption of blockchain technology in the region. Here are the key points addressed. 8. The impact of global events on Africa's largest native crypto exchange, VALR. The report describes how the crypto market experienced extreme volatility in 2022, with several key market participants and large sums of creditors and depositors being wiped out. Despite these events, VALR managed to maintain trading volumes and attract new users, particularly among institutional and corporate clients. The demand for USD stablecoins as a means of value storage, transmission, and exchange in Africa surged in 2022 and continues to grow, reflecting the rising demand for access to financial products available to token holders in the globalized crypto markets. 9. 2023 Program, Toward Web3, Digital Assets, Digital Transformation. This program is designed to assist member organizations in understanding the potential applications and benefits of Web3 technologies, such as blockchain, and provide guidance on how to integrate these technologies into their operations. The program offers deliverables across 5 categories: community, research, education, action, and influence. It focuses on blockchain use cases in different sectors, including finance, retail, agriculture, and healthcare, aiming to address Africa's unique challenges through distributed ledger technology. 10. Africa's leapfrogging into a digital payments future. The report highlights the opportunities for Africa to benefit from digital payments innovation. With advances in payment infrastructure, high rates of mobile phone adoption, and easy-to-use financial applications, the region is ripe for further innovation in digital and crypto-enabled payments. The integration of blockchain-based payment solutions with mobile apps can help Africa leapfrog into the future of inclusive payment solutions, boosting financial inclusion for the unbanked and modernizing the continent's payment systems. 11. Funded blockchain companies. The report presents an array of funded blockchain companies in Africa, highlighting their total funding, headquarters, and a brief description of their operations. Some of these companies include Scroll, Jambo, U2 Technologies, Hashgreed, Carry1ST, Chile, and CISO Global. These companies are involved in various sectors, such as infrastructure and development, NFT marketplaces, gaming, PropTech, and the metaverse. 12. Cryptocurrency investment trends in South Africa. The report presents a summary of a study conducted by Jaltec, a fund management business, analyzing the attitudes and behaviors of South African investors towards alternative investments, particularly cryptocurrencies. The study found that 80% of investors surveyed reported having some knowledge about cryptocurrencies, while 49% had exposure to cryptocurrencies. The primary barriers preventing investment in cryptocurrencies were perceived risk, lack of understanding, and a lack of regulation. The report emphasizes the need for education, global regulation, and consumer protection to encourage more cryptocurrency investment. 13. Blockchain technology's role in fostering financial inclusion and economic development in Africa. The report highlights how blockchain technology can enable financial inclusion and empower local economies in Africa by providing secure and reliable digital infrastructure. This includes the creation of transparent and secure mechanisms that enable people to access affordable insurance coverage, such as parametric crop insurance powered by smart contracts. Furthermore, cryptocurrencies can help mitigate the effects of hyperinflation and provide a stable store of value and means of preserving wealth in countries with high inflation rates and economic instability. The text also discusses the role of blockchain in facilitating cross-border transactions and fostering collaboration between African businesses. 14. The importance of security in blockchain technology adoption in Africa. The report emphasizes the need for robust security measures to be implemented at every level of the blockchain ecosystem, from developers to end users, in order to fully realize the benefits of blockchain technology in Africa. This involves rigorous testing and examination of smart contracts and decentralized applications, dApps, to identify and address potential vulnerabilities. By ensuring that platforms are secure and reliable, stakeholders can unlock the full potential of blockchain technology to foster greater socio-economic opportunity across the continent. Read Part 3, Content Type, Reports. Content Publisher, Real Vision. Publish Date, April 2023. African Blockchain Report 2022, Part 3 of 4. Summary. The African Blockchain Report 2022 provides a detailed analysis of the blockchain landscape in Africa, focusing on the rapid growth and adoption of blockchain technology in the region. Here are the key points addressed. 15. Notable projects. Ivory Pay. Ivory Pay is a complete turnkey solution for payments and NFT-based transactions in South Africa and across the African continent. By enabling QR and mobile wallet-based payments, Ivory Pay empowers the informal trade sector, providing underserved members of the population with an accessible way to make and receive payments for goods and services without requiring cash or expensive technology. This enables them to conduct business online safely, precisely, and at a low cost. 16. Notable projects. MapleRad. MapleRad is a Nigerian company that offers a banking-as-a-service infrastructure for fintech products. This fully licensed, regulated, and compliant white-label solution allows fintech companies to embed financial services directly into their products, streamlining operations and bringing innovative financial products to market more efficiently. MapleRad provides out-of-the-box API solutions for crypto payments, empowering developer teams to build products that facilitate seamless cross-border remittances in Africa, which is valuable and empowering for African consumers. 17. Education and developer training. To onboard the next million Web3 users, there is a need for more compelling use cases, applications, and deep utility. Attracting competent developers and engineers to explore Web3 and blockchain concepts is crucial for the growth of the technology. One such venture, Web3 Sanctuary, is empowering the next generation of Web3 advocates and blockchain-equipped disruptors by providing rigorous and engaging training, primarily focusing on Solidity, the programming language for smart contracts within the Ethereum virtual machine ecosystem. They aim to place certified Solidity developers in job roles that match their skill sets and interests. 18. Blockchain for social impact in Africa. Blockchain research, investments, and development are growing at an impressive rate on the African continent. The global blockchain space is shifting its focus towards social impact. Blockchain applications are transforming international development by fostering trustworthy, community-led approaches. African startups are experiencing rapid growth, and local Web3 communities are emerging across the continent. These communities organize conferences, meetups, and hackathons, fostering collaboration and knowledge sharing. Blockchain applications are being used to address various challenges, such as international cash transfers, record management, supply chain tracking, data management, corruption, land ownership documentation, and fund mismanagement. 19. Africa is investing heavily in blockchain solutions for development and social impact. The African continent is seeing a surge in blockchain projects aimed at addressing social and economic development issues. These projects leverage the innate characteristics of blockchain technology, such as transparency, immutability, privacy, and decentralization, to create innovative solutions that tackle real-world problems. 20. Initiatives are in the early stages, and solutions and innovations must continue to develop. Despite the progress made in implementing blockchain-based projects, the industry is still in its infancy, and the ecosystem needs to mature. Challenges at this stage of development include monitoring and evaluation, finding and/or training qualified developers, and fundraising. However, the report emphasizes the tremendous opportunity for growth over the next decade, which could lead to economic stabilization and environmental progress in the African continent. 21. Blockchain technology's potential for tax systems across Africa. The report highlights the potential of blockchain technology to improve tax collection, administration, and compliance in Africa. By providing secure, transparent, and tamper-proof records of transactions, blockchain can streamline tax reporting processes, automate tax collection based on transaction-level data, and help tax authorities supply pre-populated tax returns. This could lead to increased efficiency, reduced administrative burdens on taxpayers, and better tax compliance. The report also discusses the challenges involved in implementing and regulating blockchain technology, including the need for accurate input data capture, integration with existing systems, and developing a legal framework to support the new transactions. Read Part 4, Content Type, Reports. Content Publisher, Real Vision. Publish date, April 2023. African Blockchain Report 2022, Part 4 of 4. Summary. The African Blockchain Report 2022 provides a detailed analysis of the blockchain landscape in Africa, focusing on the rapid growth and adoption of blockchain technology in the region. Here are the key points addressed. 22. Cryptocurrency regulations in Africa. The report notes that while many African countries lack specific legislation concerning the treatment of cryptocurrencies, some, like South Africa, have adopted tax treatment based on general income tax principles. Blockchain technology can be used to create tamper-proof digital records that automatically verify and report tax information, increasing compliance and reducing costs associated with tax collection. This can lead to more efficient and transparent systems for tracking and reporting tax payments, particularly in the context of value-added tax (VAT) collections. The report also discusses the challenges associated with implementing blockchain-based systems, including the cost, complexity, security, and compliance with existing laws and regulations. 23. Regulatory status of cryptocurrencies becoming clearer. The number of countries with an uncertain regulatory status for cryptocurrencies has dropped from 17 to 9, while the number of countries with an implicit ban has increased from 27 to 36. This suggests that the regulatory approaches of African governments are becoming clearer. Governments are communicating more, and there has been increased media coverage of these announcements. Countries like South Africa, Kenya, Seychelles, Mauritius, Botswana, and Eswatini have shown positive progress in terms of regulations. However, there are still gray areas and room for improvement, as ambiguous or lack of communication from certain governments hinders local startups and negatively impacts foreign investment. 24. Notable advancements in cryptocurrency regulations. The report profiles several African countries and their regulatory stances on cryptocurrencies, highlighting the progress made in the past year. For instance, Nigeria is working on a framework for cryptocurrency regulation, with the Nigerian Securities Exchange Control issuing new rules on the issuance, offering, and custody of digital assets. Kenya amended its capital markets law in November 2022, requiring individuals dealing in cryptocurrencies to provide information on their activities for tax purposes. In Ghana, the Bank of Ghana announced in December 2022 that it will begin developing a framework for regulating the digital asset industry. These examples, among others, demonstrate the gradual advancements in regulatory transparency and progress made by African countries in the past year. 25. South African crypto regulations. South Africa's FSCA now classifies crypto assets as financial products, requiring related advisory or intermediary service providers to obtain a financial service provider license by November 30, 2023. Although not recognized as legal tender, South Africa is a crypto-friendly country that welcomes blockchain businesses. 26. Zambia's crypto regulations. Zambia is testing blockchain technology with DLT ledgers to regulate cryptocurrency, protecting citizens from bad actors and improving taxation and anti-money laundering measures. While not recognizing cryptocurrencies as legal tender, Zambia explores implementing a central bank digital currency, CBDC. 27. Kenya's crypto tax regulations. In Kenya, cryptocurrency gains are taxed at 30%, and non-residents without a permanent establishment are subject to a 1.5% digital services tax on earned fees. Value-added tax on digital services is levied at 16%. 28. CBDC challenges and opportunities. About 114 countries are exploring CBDCs, facing challenges such as universal access, user privacy, and user experience. The report mentions the University of Cape Town's work on privacy and Nautilus Wallet, a privacy-as-a-service startup involved in 2 national CBDC pilots. 29. African blockchain startup growth. African blockchain startups raised $474 million in 2022, a 429% YOY increase, with a 15% share of total sector-agnostic venture funding. Between early 2022 and Q1 2023, 27 companies raised $551 million across 32 deals, attracting investors to the industry's potential. 30. Trust Reserve's real-time reserves. Trust Reserve Service offers continuous evidence collection and high-frequency reporting, promoting trust and transparency in digital assets. Compliant with regulatory requirements and providing real-time management insights, it demonstrates more Johannesburg's commitment to digital asset market transparency. Content type, reports. Content publisher, Real Vision. Publish date, April 2023. The Solana Bet, Anatoly Yakovenko. Summary. In this conversation, Anatoly Yakovenko, the co-founder of Solana, discusses various developments and strategies around Solana, including the release of the Saga, a mobile phone powered by Solana. Here are the main points discussed. 1. Solana's Saga phone. The interview starts with the discussion about Solana's Saga phone. Anatoly shares the motivation behind launching the phone, highlighting the difficulties faced by Web3 apps in getting approved on iOS and Google Play stores. The Saga phone aims to provide a better mobile experience for users and developers, utilizing existing hardware technology for security and functionality. Anatoly also talks about XNFTs, cross-network NFTs, and how they can help improve the user experience by enabling applications to be deployed and interacted with in a more seamless way. 2. Helium's migration to Solana. Anatoly discusses the recent migration of Helium, a decentralized wireless network, to the Solana blockchain. He explains the significance of this migration, as it demonstrates the potential of decentralized networks to compete with and potentially surpass traditional cellular networks like AT&T and Verizon. He also mentions how Solana's focus on speed and performance makes it an ideal platform for a variety of use cases, including Nasdaq-level finance and Web3 applications. 3. Significance of localized fee markets. The speaker discusses the problems low-fee blockchains face with bots flooding the mempool and hindering valid transactions. Solana's localized fee markets efficiently sort and filter transactions, creating hotspots that prevent high-demand transactions from impacting unrelated ones. Solana's parallelism in runtime and mempool avoids gas wars between unrelated use cases, maintaining low fees. 4. Benefits of parallel execution. The speaker emphasizes Solana's parallel execution, which scales performance and prevents bottlenecks. Solana transactions include access lists, allowing for concurrent state transitions. Maintaining parallelism throughout the system, including the scheduler and mempool, avoids bottlenecks. The speaker argues that Solana's parallelism and transaction isolation outperform Layer 2 solutions like rollups for scaling blockchains. 5. Security. The speaker asserts that Solana's security relies on operator security, emphasizing the need for multiple independent, secure parties. They address concerns about hardware requirements and potential regulatory crackdowns on at-home validators, stating that Solana is distributed across global data centers, and network growth will accommodate at-home validators as internet connectivity improves. 6. Low transaction fees. Solana is known for its high throughput and low transaction fees, and the speaker discusses the impact of these fees on different types of users. For market makers and oracles submitting a high volume of transactions daily, the low fees make a significant difference. The speaker also notes that as Solana scales and achieves higher transaction rates, fees can potentially be lowered further, benefiting various stakeholders. Additionally, the low transaction fees allow users to prioritize their transactions by paying slightly higher fees, still at a fraction of the cost of other platforms, while maintaining a data-rich environment on the network. 7. Solana MEV discussion. The conversation focuses on Solana's MEV, miner extractable value, state, with Judo Stake Pool leading the space by running over 20% of nodes with a Cheeto client. The speaker emphasizes client diversity's importance for transparency and explores ideas like multiple leaders per slot for increased competition. They also discuss strategies for dApps to recapture MEV by adjusting fees, aiming for a balance between capturing value and offering rebates. The speaker believes a non-extractive protocol benefits creators, programs, users, and the network as a whole. 8. Developing consumer apps. The speaker claims that the Solana ecosystem and the crypto world lack general consumer applications that demonstrate crypto's everyday value. Projects like Helium and HiveMapper showcase decentralized technology but aren't consumer-focused. Backpack and Dialect are highlighted as innovative approaches aiming to create a WeChat-like platform, integrating social and financial aspects. The speaker suggests that a successful crypto-based social network could lead to revolutionary advancements and new, viable business models. Content type, weekly top 5. Content publisher, Blockworks. Publish date, April 2023. Data availability sampling and danksharding, overview plus proposal. Summary, the blog post Data Availability Sampling and Danksharding, an overview and a proposal for improvements by Valeria Nikolenko and Dan Boneh focuses on the future version of Ethereum and how it utilizes data availability sampling, DAS, through the concept of danksharding. The main points discussed are, 1. Proto-danksharding. Before the introduction of danksharding, proto-danksharding, EIP 4844, will allow clients to write more data to the blockchain via a new transaction type called a blob carrying transaction. This will increase the data per block to 512 kilobytes compared to the current Ethereum block size of around 100 kilobytes. These data blobs will be stored for a limited time and will not be directly accessible to smart contracts. 2. Danksharding. This approach aims to scale the amount of data on-chain for Ethereum by increasing the maximum number of blobs per block. The data will be dispersed among validators, such that each validator will store only a small subset of data. Validators can agree on whether they collectively store all of the data through a data availability sampling, DAS, protocol. 3. Goal of data availability sampling. The DAS scheme involves several parties, clients, builders, block proposers, sampling verifiers, and reconstruction agents. The challenge is to ensure that a block can be reconstructed at a later time by replicating it across a large network of validators. DOS has two protocols, a sampling protocol, run between a sampling verifier and the validator set, and a reconstruction protocol, run between a reconstruction agent and the validator set. For erasure coding and polynomial commitments, erasure coding is used to protect against validators that lose their data fragments by expanding data from n elements to m elements, m greater than n. Polynomial commitments, another building block of DAS, allow the commitment to a univariate polynomial of bounded degree using a short commitment string. Danksharding uses the KZG commitment scheme due to its homomorphic and unique properties. 5. Full blocks reconstruction. The blog explains the process of reconstructing a block when some data is missing. It highlights that at least 75% of the matrix E is required for block reconstruction. The reconstruction algorithm works by iteratively finding an incomplete row or column with at least 50% of available elements and using univariate interpolation to reconstruct the missing elements. 6. Local reconstruction of validators' data. Danksharding enables a validator to reconstruct its data without reconstructing the entire block. Validators can download data from another validator that stores the same set of points or obtain 50% of the elements of its row column from other validators and reconstruct the rest using univariate interpolation. 7. Sampling for data availability in danksharding. To determine if enough of the expanded block E is available for reconstructing the original block B, the sampling client queries random samples of E. The blog discusses the role of full nodes, light clients, and validators in the Ethereum network in ensuring data availability. 8. A proposal for 25% reconstruction. The blog proposes an alternative reconstruction method that succeeds if only 25% of the data is available, as opposed to the current 75%. This method involves bivariate polynomial interpolation and requires a modification to the way fragments are assigned to validators. This hybrid proposal allows for cheap reconstruction in most cases and provides a safety measure when the number of Byzantine validators is high. Content type, article, blog post. Content publisher, A16Z Crypto, Valeria Nikolenko and Dan Boneh. Publish date, April 2023. Stablecoins, Africa's killer crypto app. Summary. In this conversation, Ngozi Dozie discusses the importance of stablecoins, particularly as a means of transaction in Africa, where they are adding value to millions of people across the continent. The discussion features João Reginato, the VP of Product at Circle, and Ngozi Dozie, co-founder of the African digital bank, Carbon. Here are the main points discussed. 1. Stablecoins as digital cash. The conversation explores stablecoins, cryptocurrencies with stable values, aiming to provide cryptocurrency benefits like decentralization and fast transactions while reducing volatility. Stablecoins digitize traditional fiat currencies using blockchain technology for efficient, accessible money, offering peer-to-peer transactions, instant finality, and low-cost global transactions. 2. Stablecoins' advantages over fiat systems. The discussion emphasizes stablecoins' benefits, including near-instant, fee-free transactions, and global accessibility, compared to traditional electronic money. 3. Different types of stablecoins and their mechanisms. The speakers discuss the various mechanisms used to maintain the peg of stablecoins to their underlying assets, highlighting the differences between stablecoins backed by fiat currency, example, USDC, crypto collateral, example, DAI, and endogenous collateral, example, Terra and Luna. 4. Stablecoin adoption and liquidity challenges. The speakers stress the significant obstacle of liquidity in emerging markets for stablecoin adoption. They mention the importance of accessible infrastructure for issuing stablecoins like USDC and broadening banking partnerships. Additionally, they emphasize digitizing currencies to lower costs and complexities in foreign exchange markets and international transactions. 5. Broadening stablecoin reach and accessibility. Circle plans to develop digital currencies akin to USDC for other fiat currencies and collaborate with local entrepreneurs to digitize local currencies. This would facilitate inexpensive, instant currency swaps on-chain and improve access to dollars for emerging markets. Circle also aims to enhance liquidity opportunities in regions like Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America to make USDC issuance and redemption more attainable. 6. Navigating regulatory hurdles and future prospects. The speaker argues that well-defined regulations will encourage stablecoin adoption by traditional financial institutions and fintech companies awaiting regulatory clarity. Circle envisions more currencies being digitized using models emphasizing full collateralization and transparency. 7. Stablecoins and blockchain convergence. The speaker anticipates that stablecoins and their supporting blockchains may eventually merge into one. As the use of fiat currencies on blockchains expands, native assets on Layer 1 and Layer 2 blockchains could become less significant. The current complex user experience of sending stable coins like USDC while paying fees in other cryptocurrencies should be replaced with a more straightforward system, directly deducting fees from the sent amount. 8. Stablecoins in Nigeria and Africa. Stablecoins, such as USDC, provide significant benefits in countries like Nigeria, where capital controls and foreign currency access are limited. They facilitate swift, affordable cross-border transactions and allow access to foreign currencies for saving and investing. Backed by assets like treasury bills and bank-held cash, stablecoins like USDC are reliable. However, their growing popularity may challenge traditional banks as people shift funds to stablecoins, potentially affecting banks' capital sources. 9. Stablecoins for lending. The discussion emphasizes stablecoins' potential to transform lending in Africa by providing businesses with quicker and more efficient access to funding through platforms like Goldfinch. Stablecoins offer speed, convenience, and ease of cross-border expansion due to a shared currency. 10. Stablecoin adoption challenges. The conversation covers challenges in stablecoin adoption, such as the need to overcome negative associations and improve the user experience. Stablecoin platforms should be treated as infrastructure, hiding complexities from customers who want fast and secure transactions. 11. Crypto adoption hurdles. The speaker notes that large-scale crypto adoption faces challenges, particularly in user experience for those unfamiliar with the technology. The idea of using fintech in the front end and crypto in the back end is proposed as a solution to bridge the user experience gap. 12. Regulation. The discussion addresses regulation in the crypto space, using Nigeria as an example where the central bank restricts regulated companies from handling cryptocurrencies while exploring its own stablecoin. The speaker suggests using sandboxes for controlled testing of risks and benefits for a limited period. Content type, podcast interview. Content publisher, The Flip. Publish date, April 2023. In centralized exchanges we trust? Summary. In this episode of Crypto at Scale, the discussion revolves around centralized exchanges and their role in the crypto ecosystem, particularly in the African context. Guests Ruth Isalima, CEO of BitMama, and Chris Maurice, CEO of Yellow Card, share their founding stories and the growth of their respective exchanges. Here are the main points discussed. 1. Founding stories of BitMama and Yellow Card. BitMama started as a P2P exchange but evolved to focus on solving everyday problems using blockchain technology. It now facilitates the use of cryptocurrency for various transactions, including funding cards and making blockchain payments with stablecoins. Yellow Card started with the goal of providing a cheaper and faster alternative to traditional banking for cross-border transactions. It has grown to become the largest crypto exchange on the African continent, operating across 16 countries. 2. Importance of centralized exchanges in the crypto ecosystem. Centralized exchanges provide an approachable user experience, making it easier for people to adopt cryptocurrency for everyday use. On-ramps and off-ramps are critical infrastructures for the crypto ecosystem, enabling seamless movement between fiat and digital currencies. Building trust is a key consideration for centralized exchanges, particularly in the wake of incidents like FTX and SVB. Exchanges must address security, proof of reserves, regulatory compliance, and liquidity to ensure user confidence. 3. Proof of reserves and centralized exchanges. One of the speakers expresses skepticism about the ability of centralized exchanges to prove their reserves without relying on a trusted third party. They argue that while it's good that the industry is trying to be more transparent, there's still work to be done. The speaker emphasizes that users shouldn't keep their funds on centralized exchanges for long periods and should instead consider self-custody, such as using cold storage. They also discuss the need to improve user experience with self-custody wallets. 4. Crypto adoption, education, and use cases. The speakers discuss the challenges and opportunities for wider crypto adoption, with a focus on Africa. They highlight the importance of education and improving user experience, and mention that a significant portion of the African population is still unaware of crypto and its use cases. The speakers suggest that adoption will happen through businesses, fintechs, and other non-banking entities that can offer crypto-based services to retail consumers, with the crypto layer abstracted to make it easy for users. They also emphasize the importance of long-term education efforts to increase awareness and understanding of the technology. 5. The role of fintechs, businesses, and governments in driving crypto adoption. The speakers discuss how fintech companies and businesses can drive adoption by using innovative solutions and offering user-friendly products. They mention Bitmama as an example of a company that has done a great job in driving adoption through user experience, UX, and providing solutions like the Bitmama card, which enables users to access services they couldn't with a Nigerian bank-issued card. They emphasize that businesses adopting crypto and stablecoin payments can also encourage users to adopt crypto. They also mention the potential for blockchain technology to improve election processes by ensuring transparent and immutable results. 6. The impact of regulation on crypto adoption and innovation. The speakers address the importance of regulation in the crypto space, particularly in the context of Nigeria and South Africa. They discuss the challenges of striking a balance between implementing regulations that ensure safety and compliance without stifling innovation. They mention the need for African regulators to learn from international examples and establish regulations that fit their unique circumstances. They also discuss the implications of the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, gray listing, which increases scrutiny on countries like Nigeria and South Africa, and the need for these countries to establish formal crypto regulations to address financial crime concerns. 7. The guests discussed the potential impact of regulation on the cryptocurrency industry, particularly in the context of stablecoins. The participants discuss whether regulation could act as an unlock for institutions that are hesitant to engage with cryptocurrencies due to the lack of regulation. While some participants believe that clear regulations may encourage risk-averse institutions to adopt cryptocurrencies, others argue that regulations might not have a significant impact on adoption, citing an example from South Africa where a directive from the Reserve Bank did not change the stance of banks towards crypto companies. Content type, podcast interview. Content publisher, The Flip. Publish date, April 2023. Africa's peer-to-peer story. Summary. In this episode of Crypto at Scale, the discussion revolves around centralized exchanges and their role in the crypto ecosystem, particularly in the African context. Guests Ruth I. Salima, CEO of Bitmama, and Chris Maurice, CEO of Yellow Card, share their founding stories and the growth of their respective exchanges. Here are the main points discussed. 1. Founding stories of Bitmama and Yellow Card. Bitmama started as a P2P exchange but evolved to focus on solving everyday problems using blockchain technology. It now facilitates the use of cryptocurrency for various transactions, including funding cards and making blockchain payments with stablecoins. Yellow Card started with the goal of providing a cheaper and faster alternative to traditional banking for cross-border transactions. It has grown to become the largest crypto exchange on the African continent, operating across 16 countries. 2. Importance of centralized exchanges in the crypto ecosystem. Centralized exchanges provide an approachable user experience, making it easier for people to adopt cryptocurrency for everyday use. On-ramps and off-ramps are critical infrastructures for the crypto ecosystem, enabling seamless movement between fiat and digital currencies. Building trust is a key consideration for centralized exchanges, particularly in the wake of incidents like FTX and SVB. Exchanges must address security, proof of reserves, regulatory compliance, and liquidity to ensure user confidence. 3. Proof of reserves and centralized exchanges. one of the speakers expresses skepticism about the ability of centralized exchanges to prove their reserves without relying on a trusted third party. They argue that while it's good that the industry is trying to be more transparent, there's still work to be done. The speaker emphasizes that users shouldn't keep their funds on centralized exchanges for long periods and should instead consider self-custody, such as using cold storage. They also discuss the need to improve user experience with self-custody wallets. 4. Crypto adoption, education, and use cases. The speakers discuss the challenges and opportunities for wider crypto adoption, with a focus on Africa. They highlight the importance of education and improving user experience, and mention that a significant portion of the African population is still unaware of crypto and its use cases. The speakers suggest that adoption will happen through businesses, fintechs, and other non-banking entities that can offer crypto-based services to retail consumers, with the crypto layer abstracted to make it easy for users. They also emphasize the importance of long-term education efforts to increase awareness and understanding of the technology. 5. The role of fintechs, businesses, and governments in driving crypto adoption. The speakers discuss how fintech companies and businesses can drive adoption by using innovative solutions and offering user-friendly products. They mention Bitmama as an example of a company that has done a great job in driving adoption through user experience, UX, and providing solutions like the Bitmama card, which enables users to access services they couldn't with a Nigerian bank-issued card. They emphasize that businesses adopting crypto and stablecoin payments can also encourage users to adopt crypto. They also mention the potential for blockchain technology to improve election processes by ensuring transparent and immutable results. 6. The impact of regulation on crypto adoption and innovation. The speakers address the importance of regulation in the crypto space, particularly in the context of Nigeria and South Africa. They discuss the challenges of striking a balance between implementing regulations that ensure safety and compliance without stifling innovation. They mention the need for African regulators to learn from international examples and establish regulations that fit their unique circumstances. They also discuss the implications of the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, gray listing, which increases scrutiny on countries like Nigeria and South Africa, and the need for these countries to establish formal crypto regulations to address financial crime concerns. 7. The guests discussed the potential impact of regulation on the cryptocurrency industry, particularly in the context of stablecoins. The participants discuss whether regulation could act as an unlock for institutions that are hesitant to engage with cryptocurrencies due to the lack of regulation. While some participants believe that clear regulations may encourage risk-averse institutions to adopt cryptocurrencies, others argue that regulations might not have a significant impact on adoption, citing an example from South Africa where a directive from the Reserve Bank did not change the stance of banks towards crypto companies. Content type, podcast interview. Content publisher, The Flip. Publish date, April 2023. Mastering the Crypto PR Playbook. Summary. In this podcast episode, Defi Dad and Nomadic from Fourth Revolution Capital interview Samantha Yap, founder and CEO of Yap Global, a crypto-focused PR firm. They discuss the importance of building trust and credibility through effective storytelling and strategic counsel in uncertain market conditions. The conversation covers unique aspects of crypto PR, including understanding finance, tech, on-chain governance, and communication channels, as well as offering guidance and reassurance during crises like market crashes or hacks. Key points include: 1. Background and understanding of PR in the crypto industry. Samantha shares her background in journalism and her entry into the crypto industry in 2017. She talks about her experience attending Ethereum London meetups, where she realized the need for better storytelling and communication in the crypto space. She founded Yap Global to bridge the gap between the complex cryptocurrency industry and mainstream press. PR in crypto is about building trust, credibility, and a positive brand image through effective storytelling, which can be more challenging in times of market volatility or crisis. 2. Typical PR services provided in the crypto industry. Yap Global mainly specializes in strategic communications, with some support in marketing and social media. They provide strategic counsel on a daily basis, keeping clients up to date on the current climate and advising them on what they need to say to maintain credibility and trust. They also help clients provide expert commentary on market events and reassure their audience during times of crisis, such as hacks or bear markets. In addition to crisis management, Yap Global works on building and maintaining the brand reputation of their clients. 3. Crypto PR is unique and challenging. Professionals working in crypto PR need to have an understanding of finance, technology, and on-chain governance. Crypto PR professionals need to stay up to date with crypto Twitter, tracking sites, and community gatherings to keep abreast of news, trends, and market sentiment. Transparent communication with token holders is essential, as information is often publicly accessible, and public perception can change quickly due to social media. Managing crisis communications is crucial, as projects can lose their reputation and value within minutes if not handled appropriately. 4. Marketing, comms, and PR for crypto projects. Founders should hire marketing and communications professionals while building their product. Marketing handles branding, events, and social media, while PR and communications manage messaging and media relations. A liaison should connect the PR agency and founder. In crises, prompt, transparent communication is crucial. 5. Repetition and accessibility in PR. Information should be accessible, easy to digest, and repeated across platforms. Content should be engaging and easy for the target audience to understand. 6. Sequoia's response to FTX debacle and PR mistakes. The speakers analyze Sequoia's response to the FTX collapse, emphasizing acknowledging mistakes, sharing lessons, and demonstrating improvement. They discuss maintaining reputation and authenticity in common PR mistakes, such as focusing on prestigious publications. 7. Emphasize long-term PR strategy. Speakers stress the importance of setting realistic goals and understanding that PR is a long-term process, building trust and credibility over time. They caution against impatience and short-term tactics that could harm one's reputation. 8. Steer clear of drama, focus on mission. The discussion underscores avoiding unproductive drama and conflict, advising clients to remain neutral, concentrate on their mission and vision, and foster trust over time. The crypto community should collaborate, advocate, and educate the public on the technology. 9. Balaji Srinivasan's influential Bitcoin bet. The conversation centers on Balaji's $1 million bet, which has drawn attention to Bitcoin as a store of value during financial instability. Analyzing the bet as a PR move, the host and guest highlight the role of timing, virality, and the better's prominence. 10. 7 News values in crypto PR and marketing. Samantha Yap outlines the 7 themes that grab attention in the news: conflict, bizarre, impact, timeliness, prominence, human interest, trending topics, that shape public opinion, emphasizing their significance in PR and marketing campaigns. She recommends building credibility and communication during bear markets to be prepared for future bull runs. Content type, weekly top 5. Content publisher, Defy Dad. Publish date, April 2023. Bankless weekly rollup, first week of April 2023. Summary. In the conversation, the speakers cover various news events related to the cryptocurrency world. Here is a detailed overview of each of the events discussed. 1. Elizabeth Warren's anti-crypto tweet. The speakers discuss Senator Elizabeth Warren's efforts to gather an anti-crypto army. This has caused concern among the crypto community, but the speakers also make light of the situation. 2. Arbitrum's first governance vote. The conversation highlights drama surrounding Arbitrum's first governance vote, which intended to sell $1 billion worth of tokens. However, it turned out not to be an actual vote, and the speakers plan to discuss this further. 3. New frontier in the MEV, miner extractable value, world. A validator discovered a new paradigm by sandwich attacking, potentially changing the MEV landscape. The speakers plan to discuss the implications of this discovery. 4. Market and price analysis. The speakers analyze recent price movements in the crypto markets, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, discussing the Ether-Bitcoin ratio. They also touch on market sentiment and the possibility of a new bull market. 5. Ether self-custody and Uniswap versus Coinbase trading volumes. the amount of Ether held in self-custody, away from exchanges, is at an all-time high. Additionally, Uniswap has beaten Coinbase in trading volumes for the second month in a row, which the speakers find significant given the historical dominance of centralized exchanges like Coinbase. 6. Ethereum gravitational pull. The speakers discuss the idea that Ethereum is becoming increasingly difficult to escape due to its strong ecosystem and growing influence in the crypto space. This is mainly attributed to the contraction of the market during bear markets, leading to consolidation around the Ethereum ecosystem. 7. Nasdaq correlation with Bitcoin. The conversation moves to the correlation between Nasdaq and Bitcoin, which is at its lowest point since 2021. The speakers debate whether Nasdaq is the best comparison for Bitcoin, suggesting that the S&P 500 might be a better choice. They also discuss how correlations in bear markets tend to rise, leading to more favorable market conditions when they come down. 8. U.S. government's Bitcoin sale. The speakers discuss the U.S. government's plan to sell around 49,000 Bitcoins that it had seized from the Silk Road hacker. The news is that 10,000 of those Bitcoins have already been sold, and the remaining 40,000 are expected to be sold over the next few months or years. This could create additional selling pressure in the Bitcoin market. 9. Arbitrum governance drama. The conversation moves to the controversy surrounding the Arbitrum Foundation's proposal to allocate 750 million ARB tokens for admin and operational costs. The majority of Arbitrum token holders voted against the proposal, but the foundation claimed that the vote was just a formality and proceeded to use some of the funds. This raised concerns about the transparency and communication within the Arbitrum community. 10. Elizabeth Warren's war on crypto. The speakers touch on Senator Elizabeth Warren's recent campaign against cryptocurrency, which has generated significant debate within the crypto community. 11. Elon Musk and Dogecoin. The conversation briefly mentions Elon Musk's continued involvement with Dogecoin and its impact on the news cycle. 12. CZ and Interpol rumors. Lastly, the speakers discuss rumors surrounding Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao, CZ, and a possible connection with Interpol, though they do not delve into the details. These events showcase the dynamic nature of the cryptocurrency space, with market trends, technological advancements, and regulatory developments shaping the industry's future. Content type, news coverage. Content publisher, Bankless. Publish date, April 2023. Web 2 lesson for AI, decentralize for humanity. Summary. In his blog titled Web 2's Lesson for AI, Decentralize to Protect Humanity, Michael Casey, CoinDesk's chief content officer, argues that AI development should focus on open-source innovation and collective governance through blockchain protocols and Web 3, rather than following the centralized model of Web 2. He believes that a decentralized approach to AI can help prevent potentially devastating consequences for humanity. Casey criticizes the recent call by some AI industry experts for a 6-month pause or even a military-enforced shutdown in AI research. He contends that such an approach is based on flawed thinking and would only exacerbate the potential dangers associated with AI. Instead, he suggests that we should learn from the issues arising from Web 2, the ad-driven, social platform-based economy dominated by tech giants like Google, Facebook, and Amazon. Web 2 led to the centralization of the Internet, resulting in the rise of surveillance capitalism and the exploitation of user data. Casey warns that if AI development follows a similar centralized model, the destructive consequences could be even more severe. To avoid this, he proposes incentivizing AI developers to create alternative, decentralized models. In the blog, Casey highlights the importance of updating capitalism for the digital age. Traditional market capitalism has generated wealth and productivity but was designed for an analog economy based on physical goods. The Internet age, characterized by self-reinforcing network effects, software efficiencies, and intangible commodities like human data, requires a new approach. He suggests that we need a decentralized model of ownership and consensus governance that promotes competitive innovation while driving it towards the public good. Casey cites the example of Jacob Steves, a founder of decentralized AI development protocol Bittenzer, who believes that crypto technology can help shape the future of AI development. Steves envisions a world where decentralized ownership and control can prevent any single party from dominating AI development. Instead, the group as a whole would choose models that are beneficial to everyone. Casey acknowledges that this vision may be overly utopian but maintains that open-source innovation and collective governance offered by blockchain protocols represent the best way forward. He goes on to discuss the contrast between OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT and GPT-1, for large language models, LLM, and the decentralized ecosystems of blockchain protocols. OpenAI is a private company that recently received a $10 billion investment from Microsoft, and its closed system contrasts starkly with the permissionless innovation ethos of blockchain technology. Casey expresses concern about the potential for AI development to be captured by centralized business models, as was the case with Web 2. Finally, Casey addresses the recent hostility from the U.S. government towards the crypto industry. He argues that this hostility, combined with the departure of crypto companies from the U.S., represents a blow to the open-source innovation needed to prevent AI's capture by centralized interests. He cites advances in cryptography, such as zero-knowledge proofs, which have been significantly furthered by the funding provided by the crypto industry. In conclusion, Michael Casey argues that we have a choice between allowing AI development to be dominated by centralized business models, like Web 2, or embracing the decentralized vision of Web 3. He maintains that the latter is the safer bet for humanity's future. Content type, Weekly Top 5. Content publisher, CoinDesk, Michael J. Casey. Publish date, April 2023. Tokenology plus 7 sanity checks for token design. Summary. In the blog, Tokenology, Moving Beyond Tokenomics by Guy Wallet, the author emphasizes the multidimensional value of tokens in the blockchain and crypto world. Tokens have evolved to represent not only monetary value but also social, reputational, and other forms of value. Wallet argues that the term tokenomics is limiting and insufficient to capture the full scope of the token's design space, which goes beyond economic contexts. Instead, he proposes the term tokenology, representing the study of how tokens can coordinate people, organizations, and computation towards a common goal, using cryptography in mechanism design. Wallet goes on to explain how tokens are an essential part of the blockchain technology and provide a brief overview of the terms token model, token mechanism, and token design. These terms refer to how a token interacts with its associated protocol, system, or mechanism, like Ethereum's token model and its interaction with the protocol. Tokens have numerous use cases, and some of the notable ones include 1. Ownership. Blockchains enable user-owned and operated open-source services at scale. Tokens offer digital property rights and allow ownership of hyperstructures, which are crypto protocols that run without maintenance or intermediaries. 2. Alignment. Tokens like creator coins, social tokens, and NFTs enable direct interaction between artists and fans. They can represent membership in communities and establish digital cultural identities. 3. Incentive structures. Tokens help coordinate validators and miners in Ethereum and Bitcoin, as well as decentralized governance in DeFi protocols like Uniswap and Compound. They can also support membership growth and derivative creation for NFT projects and digitally native DAOs. 4. Accessing goods and services. Tokens can be used to purchase computation, data storage, and other services in platforms like Ethereum, Helium, and Filecoin. NFTs can also gate digital and physical experiences, prioritizing early or more active community members. Although this list is not exhaustive, it highlights the richness and diversity of the token design space. The author argues that recognizing tokens as vectors of value rather than mere scalars will help capture their multidimensionality. Tokens allow for the representation of value without necessarily being money, which is a limitation of the modern Western economy that denominates value mainly in US dollars. Value can be represented in several other ways, including time and information. Wallet concludes by stressing the need for a new term to describe the broad scope of token design. Whether it's tokenology or another term, the focus should be on tokens multiplied by economics, art, and other fields. A new term will help usher in a new era of token design, capturing the richness and potential of this evolving technology. In the blog 7 Sanity Checks Before Designing a Token by Guy Wallet, the author explores the challenges and opportunities in token design. Despite being in the early stages of development, token design offers a vast scope for innovation. However, designing a token effectively requires a clear understanding of the objective, avoiding common pitfalls, and applying rigorous principles at each stage. To help builders navigate this complex space, Wallet shares 7 instructive tips for avoiding common failure modes in token design. 1. Define a clear objective, establish the token's purpose and ensure team alignment to avoid ineffective models and wasted resources. 2. Assess existing work objectively, analyze current protocols and literature based on technical merits, not just popularity or valuation. 3. State your assumptions. Clearly articulate design assumptions to prevent unintended token model issues or exploitation. 4. Test your assumptions. Use statistical modeling, user feedback, and testnet data to validate assumptions. Employ formal verification and audits for codebase accuracy. 5. Establish abstraction barriers. Create distinct interfaces for token model components to minimize complexity and improve design quality. 6. Minimize reliance on external parameters, limit dependence on outside factors to prevent unexpected behavior and vulnerabilities. 7. Revalidate after changes. When adjusting the token model, revalidate the design to avoid unintended consequences while addressing issues. By following these tips, builders can create effective token models that achieve their specific objectives, avoid common pitfalls, and harness the potential of the expanding token design space. Token design is an ongoing field of study, and as more protocols and use cases emerge, the importance of a well-defined objective and a rigorous design process will continue to grow. Content type: article, blog post. Content publisher: A16Z Crypto, Guy Wallet. Publish date: April 2023. Stablecoins and CBDCs, will the two coexist? Summary: in this conversation, the speakers discuss the current state of stablecoins, their importance in the crypto ecosystem, the regulatory environment in the United States, and the implications of the political landscape in Washington, D.C. on the broader cryptocurrency space. They address the challenges faced by stablecoin issuers in the U.S., including regulatory confusion, multiple regulators vying for control over the new asset class, and the lack of clear regulations and frameworks. This has resulted in some issuers moving their operations offshore, where there is more regulatory clarity. The conversation highlights the similarities between stablecoins, banks, and government money market funds, which contribute to the regulatory confusion. The speakers mention the market caps of popular stablecoins like Tether, USDC, and BUSD and discuss the transparency and consumer protections offered by these projects. They underscore the importance of stablecoins in the context of the U.S. maintaining its global reserve currency status and explore the potential consequences if the U.S. fails to maintain this status, including decreased global competitiveness, national security risks, and loss of control over the flow of money. The discussion touches on regulatory aspects such as the NYDFS banning Paxos from minting more BUSD, the European Union's MiCA framework for crypto asset regulation, and the development of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, and tokenized bank deposits. One speaker emphasizes the role of stablecoins as money on the blockchain, essential for exchanging assets efficiently and without counterparty credit risk. They discuss the significance of the US dollar in global transactions, such as oil trades, and how the reserve currency status attracts investment to the United States. They note that if the US dollar loses its reserve currency status, it would likely erode slowly over time rather than suddenly. The speakers also examine the political landscape in Washington, D.C. and its impact on the cryptocurrency space, highlighting the challenges politicians face when dealing with crypto-related issues due to their limited knowledge of the technology. They argue that the political divide might stem more from an informational gap than differing ideologies. The discussion mentions Congressman Richie Torres, a well-informed politician on cryptocurrency, and suggests that as more politicians understand the technology, there should be a bipartisan approach to regulating the space. The speakers note that being anti-crypto is essentially being anti-technology, which has never been a winning political platform in the US. Lastly, the conversation addresses viewer questions on topics such as the timeline for the US to make decisions regarding stablecoins before they potentially move to another currency, the possibility of gold-backed stablecoins from BRIC countries, and the potential for blockchain bonds. The speakers provide insights into these areas, emphasizing the importance of understanding and embracing the emerging technology for the nation's progress and success. Notable quotes: "To have a situation where everything is moving offshore because we're so worried that US regulators will just stamp these things out of existence and into something that is quite frankly less transparent, less consumer protective, tells you how toxic the onshore regulatory regime is, but it also tells you how big the opportunity offshore is. If you build a transparent, consumer protective version, it will probably dominate the current environment. If crypto continues to grow at the pace it's grown from 2012 to present, and there's going to be a form of money on the blockchain and we prevent that form of money from being the dollar, I think that is a problem for the United States. If that's the euro, if that's the yuan, it will lead to another currency eroding the dollar status and starting to become the preferred method of exchange globally." This quote emphasizes the possible repercussions of not supporting stablecoins representing the US dollar on the blockchain. Failure to maintain the dollar as the preferred blockchain currency could lead to other currencies gaining prominence, eroding its global reserve currency status. This would significantly impact the US in terms of global competitiveness, national security, and monetary control worldwide. To be truly anti-crypto in a maximalist stance is to be anti-technology, and that's really never been a winning political platform in America. This quote emphasizes the necessity of adopting technology for a nation's growth and prosperity. Opposing cryptocurrencies, an emerging technology with significant potential, equates to resisting technological innovation. It implies that a successful political platform should acknowledge and endorse technological advancements. Content type: Weekly Top 5. Content publisher: Real Vision. Publish date: April 2023. Why NFTs matter. Summary: in this excerpt of a podcast conversation from Moment of Zen, the speakers explore various topics, including the potential of non-fungible tokens, NFTs, the impact of internet-connected devices on status-seeking behavior, and the regulatory environments surrounding the internet, artificial intelligence, AI, and cryptocurrency. The discussion begins with an analysis of NFTs and their possible influence on different industries. The speakers recognize that NFTs may currently seem insignificant or trivial, but they draw parallels to the early days of the internet to emphasize the potential of this technology. They argue that NFTs, like the internet, may take time to find their most valuable use cases. The speakers delve into the decentralized and permissionless nature of NFTs, which allows for guaranteed scarcity and encourages an ecosystem of developers and users to innovate. Furthermore, they touch upon potential applications of NFTs beyond digital art, such as managing domain names or user identities on platforms like Twitter. The conversation then shifts to the role of internet-connected devices in shaping how individuals seek and establish status. The speakers discuss the Twitter blue checkmark as an example of a status symbol that lost its value once it became more accessible. They explore the potential of NFTs in conferring status and credentials and examine the benefits of decentralized crypto technologies, such as empowering individuals against centralized power structures. The discussion also compares platforms like Substack and Mirror, highlighting the advantages of Web3 platforms in offering more dynamic pricing and economic upside for creators and their communities. Lastly, the speakers address the different regulatory environments for the Internet, AI, and cryptocurrency. They outline the history of Internet regulation and how early legislative actions allowed the Internet to develop freely, ultimately benefiting the U.S. economy. While some believe that better regulation could have prevented issues like disinformation, the overall consensus is that the Internet has been a positive force. The regulatory environments of AI and cryptocurrency are then compared. The speakers argue that AI has benefited from the Internet's regulatory framework, allowing it to evolve at the pace of technology. They acknowledge that future regulation regarding safety and alignment might be necessary, but this should not hinder AI's progress. Conversely, cryptocurrency has existed in a gray area, with the government becoming increasingly aggressive over time. The speakers call for reasonable updates to securities laws to provide clarity and guidance for the cryptocurrency sector. In conclusion, the conversation covers a diverse range of topics, from the potential of NFTs and their impact on various industries to the role of Internet-connected devices in shaping status-seeking behavior and the differing regulatory environments for the Internet, AI, and cryptocurrency. Throughout the discussion, the speakers emphasize the importance of considering the broader implications and possibilities of these technologies, as well as the need for well-thought-out regulations that enable innovation while addressing potential risks and challenges. Notable quotes: "I think it's intellectually dishonest for the haters of NFTs to be like, well, you know, the internet had immediate utility, it's a file format and so it can take time. The original people who were running the internet didn't want to have it." This quote highlights the importance of considering the long-term potential of new technologies, rather than dismissing them based on their initial use cases. The speakers argue that just as the internet took time to evolve and find its most valuable applications, so too will NFTs. By emphasizing that NFTs are a file format with a wide range of possible applications, the speakers encourage listeners to approach this technology with an open mind and to consider the potential impact it could have across various industries. "My sense is like the world is going to move to this version of decentralized status where you can verify who gave the status to whom, and that I think is a trend that will happen, and people will be able to build new versions of professional social networks like LinkedIn." This quote highlights the potential transformation of online status and reputation systems in the coming years. It suggests that decentralized technologies like NFTs will play a significant role in redefining how people create and showcase their credentials, paving the way for new professional networks and platforms that better represent individuals' sovereign status. This trend can have widespread implications, empowering individuals, and shaping new ways of interacting and establishing trust online. Content type: Weekly Top 5. Content publisher: Moment of Zen. Publish date: April 2023. Exit liquidity. Summary: in the blog post Exit Liquidity, Arthur Hayes delves into the complexities of the US dollar's status as the global reserve currency and the potential implications of de-dollarization. The blog covers various aspects related to the US dollar's status, its impact on the American economy and population, and the future of global reserve currencies. It also provides a detailed analysis of the economies and financial policies of China and Japan and their implications for the global financial landscape. The blog explores the ongoing debate over whether the US dollar can be replaced as the global reserve currency, with some arguing that no other country can assume this role, while others pointing to signs of de-dollarization in trade. Examples of de-dollarization include France and China conducting LNG deals in CNY, Brazil and China trading with each other without dollars, and BRICS countries exploring the creation of a new currency. French President Macron has also expressed a desire to reduce the extraterritoriality of the US dollar. Hayes discusses the benefits and costs of reserve currency status, with the primary benefit being the ability of the host nation to print currency at will to pay for real goods. However, this benefit is not equally distributed among citizens, leading to wealth inequality. The costs are felt by the majority of the population that owns little to no financial assets. The blog raises 4 pertinent questions related to the US dollar's status, de-dollarization, and the future of global reserve currencies. Hayes believes that cryptocurrencies will be a significant part of the conversation surrounding these questions. Using a simplified global economy model, the blog examines the economic impacts of a global reserve currency, specifically focusing on the post-WW2 global economy and the trade and capital deficit between the US and Asia. It highlights the challenges faced by American politicians in balancing the needs of the global economy, the desire to remain the global reserve currency issuer, and the interests of average Americans. The blog also investigates the impact of the US dollar's role as the global reserve currency on the American banking system, financial assets, and wealth distribution. Wealthy Americans benefit significantly from this arrangement, while the other 90% of Americans have not benefited as much due to outsourcing of jobs, the decline of the American manufacturing base, and the widening income gap. The post discusses the economic situation in Asia, particularly focusing on China and Japan, and the possibility of these countries striving to become issuers of the global reserve currency. It argues that Asia, in general, does not want free trade or to have their assets easily accessible to foreigners, and is not interested in becoming the issuer of the global reserve currency due to their unwillingness to accept the necessary prerequisites. The blog predicts a future where currency blocks dominate the financial landscape, with no single global reserve currency hegemon. Trade will occur in various currencies such as the Chinese yuan, gold, and potentially cryptocurrencies. As the global financial system balkanizes, demand for U.S. financial assets may decrease, leading to falling prices and rising bond yields. The author anticipates that gold and cryptocurrencies will gain prominence as alternatives for international trade income storage. Central banks in the global south are already increasing their gold allocations, and Bitcoin's reputation as the hardest money ever created may make it a contender for a savings vehicle alongside gold. In conclusion, Arthur Hayes' blog post, Exit Liquidity, provides a comprehensive overview of the US dollar's status as the global reserve currency, its implications, and the future of global reserve currencies. It highlights the importance of understanding these issues and their potential impact on global financial policy and individual wealth preservation. The blog encourages readers to recognize that the future will involve trade in multiple currencies, with gold and potentially Bitcoin serving as global reserve assets. Content type, Weekly Top 5. Content publisher, Arthur Hayes. Publish date, April 2023. Bankless Weekly Rollup, second week of April 2023. Summary: the Bankless podcast hosts discuss a range of news events related to the cryptocurrency and blockchain world. Some of the key events and topics covered include: 1. Chapella hard fork, an upgrade to the Ethereum network that allows stackers to withdraw their Ether, marking a significant milestone in Ethereum's transition from a one-way staking system to a more sustainable, two-way system. 2. Bankless Nation, crypto podcast hosts discuss an April Fool's joke, market updates on Bitcoin and Ethereum, the launch of Token Hub, and the use of Crypto Tax Calculator for tax purposes. 3. Total Locked Value, TLV, on Layer 2s, the growth of TLV in Layer 2s, with Arbitrum 1 reaching a TLV of $6.4 billion. 4. A16Z Annual Report, the 2023 State of Crypto Report covering various topics, such as developer stickiness, NFT volume, Layer 2s, and the perception of crypto in the outside world. 5. Trust in Crypto, a Pew Research Center report showing that the majority of Americans are not confident in the safety and reliability of cryptocurrency. 6. Arbitrum DAO drama, mentioned briefly but without details. 7. FTX recovery. FTX is in the process of recovering $7.3 billion in assets and is considering relaunching the exchange. 8. Chapella hard fork upgrade. The speakers discuss the successful upgrade, the redistribution of stake, and the effect on the ETH price. 9. Arbitrum Foundation controversy. A discussion on the allocation of 700 million ARB tokens to the Arbitrum Foundation and the subsequent vote against returning them to the community. 10. Euler redemptions. A hacker stole funds from the Euler money market and later returned them, leading to a claims page for affected users. 11. Light Spark platform. David Marcus unveils a platform aimed at expanding the Bitcoin Lightning Network to the masses. 12. Japan's Crypto Initiatives, a white paper outlining plans to make Japan more crypto-friendly. 13. Hong Kong's Web3 adoption. Hong Kong's finance chief pushes for Web3 adoption in the city. 14. Permissionless 2023 event, a crypto event scheduled to take place in Austin, Texas. 15. MetaMask's new features. MetaMask introduces features that allow users to easily buy crypto directly from fiat. 16. Etherscan token approval, a tool that allows users to view and revoke access to their Ethereum wallet from various smart contracts. 17. Sushi exploit. A recent exploit in the SushiSwap decentralized exchange highlights the importance of revoking access to untrusted smart contracts. 18. Arbitrum 1 and Arbitrum Nova. The rapid adoption of Arbitrum 1 and the launch of Arbitrum Nova, focusing on gaming and social dApps. 19. Bankless Token Hub, a platform offering research, ratings, and opinions on various crypto tokens. 20. AI regulation debate. The speakers discuss two different takes on AI regulation, comparing Chamath Palihapitiya's call for government oversight to Naval Ravikant's argument against stifling innovation. 21. Ethereum staking and shipping. The speakers express their bullish views on Ethereum's future and highlight innovations in Ethereum staking and the growth of Layer 2 solutions. Content type, news coverage, content publisher, Bankless, publish date, April 2023. L2s won't scale Ethereum, Multicoin. Summary. In the Empire podcast, speakers Kyle and Tushar from Multicoin Capital discuss various topics within the realms of blockchain, cryptocurrency, AI, and DeFi. The conversation starts with Multicoin's involvement with FTX and Solana, addressing the aftermath of FTX's insolvency and the potential recovery of funds. Investing in the volatile crypto market, the speakers emphasize the importance of being contrarian and right to make excess returns. They also touch on the Solana ecosystem, its potential, and the misconception that FTX acted as Solana's business development arm. The discussion highlights the need for a bottom-up approach to blockchain business development through hackathons and attracting crypto-native talent. The speakers also explore the intersection of AI and cryptocurrencies, mentioning three areas: Airbnb for GPUs, reinforcement learning with human feedback, RLHF, with token incentives, and proof of humanity. They delve into the importance of domain-specific knowledge and how token incentives can help compensate individuals who provide feedback systematically. Decentralized finance, DeFi, and its future are examined, with one speaker noting that the friction of getting money on-chain is a significant issue for DeFi adoption. They suggest that onboarding users through gaming and getting paid on-chain could be a potential solution, emphasizing that DeFi will become more interesting once a critical mass of users is paid on-chain. Layer 1, L1, and Layer 2, L2, systems are discussed, touching on the regulatory aspects and technical difficulties in decentralizing sequencers. The speakers criticize Ethereum Virtual Machine, EVM, based L2s for not addressing the scaling problem from first principles. The conversation also covers the importance of speed and security in experimental, high-risk projects in the crypto space, and the limitations of L2 systems. The speakers explore the potential costs of running validator nodes and the impact of hardware requirements on accessibility. They also discuss Filecoin's increasing intellectual capital contributions and the significance of the Filecoin Virtual Machine, FVM. The development of Filecoin and its differences from Arweave are examined. Filecoin is described as a decentralized storage network with a programmable asset ledger, while Arweave has a pay-once model for storage. Filecoin is seen as more suited for B2B use cases, while Arweave is more aligned with B2C applications. The conversation explores the changing landscape of Bitcoin and Ethereum and the future of smart contract platforms. The speakers believe that the most used platforms will eventually join the club of Bitcoin and Ethereum, gaining more users and becoming more neutral over time. Finally, the speakers offer advice to their younger selves entering the crypto space, encouraging them to follow their hearts, avoid getting caught up in crypto drama, and be contrarian, right, and brave to earn excess returns in the crypto market. Notable quotes: "The future of finance is not quarterly reports, that's an anachronistic 20th century thing. The future of finance is real-time visibility into everything that's happening right now. I think DeFi is exciting, but it's like second horizon right. I think we need to focus on right now what is going to get more users paid on-chain, and once that hits a critical mass, I think that's when DeFi starts to get much more interesting. The only way to earn excess returns as an investor, the only way, is to be contrarian and be right. If you are contrarian and wrong, you don't earn excess returns. If you are with the herd and right, you just earn market returns. I just think that if you are in an ecosystem where L2s are the predominant scaling strategy, I believe that means L1s are overvaluing L2s are undervalued. If that's what you really believe, then I think the right play is short L1, long all the L2s. Content type, weekly top 5. Content publisher, Blockworks. Publish date, April 2023. Are DAOs strong enough to survive regulators? Summary: In this episode of the Unchained podcast, host Laura Shin discusses legal developments around decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs, with guests Gabriel Shapiro, General Counsel at Delphi Labs, and Fatima Funes, a crypto lawyer and researcher. The conversation covers a wide range of topics, including the definition of DAOs, legal classification, liability concerns, potential legal risks, and recent legislation and lawsuits involving DAOs. Shapiro and Funes discuss the nature of DAOs and their resistance to external exercises of authority, noting the lack of clear legal classification and the potential liabilities faced by DAO participants. They introduce the concept of cybernetic organizations, or Borgs, as a possible solution for compartmentalizing risk and avoiding single points of failure. The speakers explore the idea of creating legal blockchain hybrids, establishing clear accountability mechanisms, and reducing trust on the off-chain layer. They suggest setting up adjacent entities to DAOs and discuss the idea of creating a bridge between the off-chain world and the on-chain robots, while still maintaining the innovative nature of Web3 and the DAO concept. Legal risks involved in DAO operations are also discussed, particularly in terms of liability and tort liability. The speakers explore the possibility of mitigating these risks by establishing clear legal contracts, disclaiming fiduciary relationships, and avoiding activities that could lead to non-economic damages. The conversation delves into the impact of the Wyoming LLC law on DAOs, expressing concerns that the law may not fully address the unique characteristics and requirements of DAOs. The participants also discuss Utah's recent DAO law and the innovative Koala DAO model law. The Uki DAO lawsuit is mentioned, which determined that DAOs could be sued, and the implications of these legal actions for the future of DAO regulation are examined. The Uki DAO case and its implications for DAOs are a primary focus of the conversation. The speakers explore how the enforcement of a judgment against a DAO might proceed and discuss the implications of the case for DAO governance, suggesting that participants may become more privacy-focused or that DAOs could avoid becoming revenue-generating businesses to reduce legal risks. The podcast covers various other cases and consequences of using smart contracts, tort claims, and potential liabilities. The importance of privacy in technology and the need for builders to act lawfully and responsibly are emphasized, as their actions can have far-reaching consequences beyond their own projects. Intention plays a crucial role in decentralization, with a distinction between decentralizing for regulatory evasion and decentralizing for optimal project functionality. In conclusion, this Unchained podcast episode provides a comprehensive overview of the legal aspects and potential consequences of DAOs, discussing recent lawsuits and regulations that could shape the future of the industry. The speakers share their thoughts on the developments they are most interested in following, such as the industry's adaptation to lawsuits and regulatory challenges and DAOs' efforts to self-regulate and protect their users. Notable quotes: "There is an easier solution here. Just stop turning DAOs into revenue-earning partnerships and businesses. They're not meant to be that, they're meant to be like robots." This quote highlights a potential solution to the legal challenges facing DAOs. By avoiding revenue-generating activities, DAOs could reduce their legal risks and maintain their intended purpose as decentralized, automated systems. This approach could help DAOs avoid being classified as partnerships or businesses, reducing their exposure to legal liabilities and enforcement actions. Intention matters if you're decentralizing because you're just wanting to evade regulators, and that's a different thing from decentralizing because that's like the best version of what it is that you're trying to build. I strongly believe that the developers of Tornado Cash have not done anything illegal, and writing software should not be deemed to be illegal, and using software neither. So if you do something illegal ahead of you using the software, then obviously you should be responsible and made accountable for this, but just simply using a privacy software is not illegal. Content type, weekly top 5. Content publisher, Unchained. Publish date, April 2023. The L2 Wars, which L2 is winning? Summary: in the Good Game podcast, hosts Imran and Chow engage in an extensive conversation with guest Mohammed Fouda, the head of research, about blockchain scaling solutions, focusing primarily on rollups, with an emphasis on zero-knowledge, ZK, rollups and optimistic rollups. Rollups are designed to increase the throughput of networks like Ethereum by processing transactions off-chain and then submitting them to the main chain for verification. This process helps reduce congestion on the main chain and enhances overall efficiency. Fuda provides a historical context for the development of rollups, starting from the Lightning Network for Bitcoin in 2014 to the present day. The conversation delves deeper into the differences between optimistic rollups and ZK rollups. Optimistic rollups operate on the assumption that transactions are initially correct and provide a challenge period for resolving disputes. In contrast, ZK rollups use zero-knowledge proofs to verify transactions before submitting them to the main chain. ZK rollups offer better security and user experience but are more complex to develop. The hosts and Fuda also discuss the trade-offs and challenges in building and implementing various rollup types and the future role of Ethereum as a settlement layer for Layer 2 solutions. In addition to discussing rollups, the podcast explores the intricacies of zero-knowledge proofs, zero-knowledge rollups, and the various proving systems involved. The speakers discuss numerous zero-knowledge proving systems, such as ZKS and RKS, Pickles, Starks, Plunks, and others. There are more than 10 popular and in-production proving systems, which can be broadly categorized into two major groups: SNARKs, succinct non-interactive proofs of arguments of knowledge, and STARKs, scalable transparent arguments of knowledge. The speakers further dissect the differences between the two most popular ones, ZKS-NRKS and ZKS-TRKS, elaborating on their advantages and disadvantages. The conversation then examines the characteristics of proving systems, encompassing the complexity of the proving process, the size of the proofs, and the verification process. The speakers also touch upon the concept of trusted setup and the differences between ZK circuits, provers, and verifiers. Towards the end, they offer a detailed explanation of what happens during a ZK rollup transaction using ZK Sync as an example. The speakers discuss the current state of ZK roll UPS and optimistic roll UPS, focusing on the growth and trade-offs between various L2 solutions. They mention Arbitrum, Optimism, ZK Sync Era, Polygon ZK EVM, ZK Sync Lite, and StarkNet as the major players in this space. Arbitrum and Optimism are both optimistic rollups, while ZK Sync Era, Polygon ZK EVM, and StarkNet are ZK roll UPS. In terms of TVL, total value locked, Arbitrum is currently the largest, with around $6 billion, followed by Optimism at around $2 billion. ZK Sync Era and ZK Sync Lite both have around $100 million in TVL, while Polygon ZK EVM has less than $3 million. The speakers also highlight the growth rate of these solutions, with ZK Sync Era showing impressive growth since its launch. They explore possible reasons behind the differences in growth rate, such as developer trust in ZK Sync's longer history and the anticipation of future token launches for some projects. The conversation also touches on the importance of first-mover advantage and how Solana, despite raising much less money than its competitors, managed to out-execute them through persistence and superior execution. The podcast concludes by focusing on the future of blockchain technology, particularly the potential of ZK rollups in scaling and specialization. The speakers emphasize the importance of adopting ZK rollups to support the increasing demand for decentralized applications and protocols, allowing them to run on specialized blockchains with faster transactions and lower fees. They envision a future where ZK rollups specialize over time, possibly leading to rollup-as-a-service providers aggregating specialized rollups to create another layer of blockchain technology. Notable quotes. I think roll UPS and Layer 2s are all specializing. They may not be doing it intentionally, but some groups of developers and founders are gravitating towards one over the other. This quote highlights a trend in the blockchain space where different rollups and L2 solutions are specializing in particular niches, either intentionally or as a result of attracting specific types of developers and projects. This can lead to better tailored solutions for specific use cases but may also result in fragmentation of liquidity and potential issues with cross-rollup communication. Content type, podcast interview. Content publisher, Good Game Podcast. Publish date, April 2023. 2023 State of Crypto Report. Summary: The 2023 State of Crypto Report, by Darren Matsuoka, Eddie Lazarin, Robert Hackett, and Stephanie Zinn provides an extensive analysis of the crypto industry's progress, revealing a healthier and more stable picture than market prices alone suggest. The report showcases the steady development cycle, product launches, and ongoing innovation in the crypto space. A new addition to the report is the State of Crypto Index, an interactive tool tracking the health of the crypto industry from a technological standpoint, rather than a financial one. The index represents the weighted average monthly growth of 14 industry metrics, such as the number of verified smart contracts and the number of transacting wallets. This tool allows users to visualize the rate of innovation and adoption of Web3 technology in a single chart and tweak parameters to form their own views. Key takeaways from the report include: 1. Blockchains have more active users and more ways to engage. Active addresses reached an all-time high of 15 million last month, doubling over the last 2 years due to a growing variety of apps and services such as on-chain games. 2. DeFi and NFT activity appears to be rising again. Promising new uses and applications are emerging, with more people buying NFTs and decentralized exchanges witnessing over $100 billion in trading volume last month. 3. The number of active developers in the crypto industry has held steady. Almost 30,000 developers contributed to or built on crypto projects last month, increasing by over 60% in the last 3 years. 4th, blockchains are scaling through promising new paths. Layer 2 scaling solutions now account for 7% of the total fees paid on Ethereum, up from 1.5% last year. 5. New technologies are becoming increasingly real. Zero-knowledge systems are advancing at a staggering pace, unlocking further blockchain scalability and privacy-protecting applications, as well as AI applications. 6. The US is losing its lead in Web3. The proportion of crypto developers based in the US has fallen by 26% between 2018 and 2022, emphasizing the need for thoughtful regulation to encourage innovation in the US. 7. Zooming out shows progress across key indicators. Market cap, developer activity, and funding activity have all increased steadily over the last decade, revealing a price innovation cycle where price swings drive new ideas forward. The report highlights the steady growth in monthly active addresses and the increasing number of ways to engage with blockchains and Web3 applications, such as DeFi and Web3 games. It also underscores the rise in DeFi and NFT activity, with decentralized exchanges witnessing significant trading volumes and NFT buyers increasing. Furthermore, the number of active developers in the crypto industry remains strong, and blockchains continue to scale through new paths like Layer 2 solutions. New technologies, such as zero-knowledge systems, are also advancing rapidly, opening up opportunities for further scalability and privacy-protecting applications. However, the report also points out that the US is losing its lead in Web3, stressing the need for effective regulation to promote innovation and growth in the country. Lastly, by zooming out, the report demonstrates progress across key indicators, illustrating a price innovation cycle that propels new ideas forward. The blog post emphasizes the growing number of active developers in the crypto industry and the promising new paths for blockchain scaling. The number of active developers in the crypto industry has remained steady, with nearly 30,000 monthly active developers today. This is a 60% increase since the bull run in 2020, indicating that developers attracted by rising prices are sticking around. In the last month, nearly 50,000 unique addresses deployed smart contracts, a 40% rise in the year. These contracts were verified, and more core developer libraries were used to interact with them than ever before. A key feature of the crypto industry is composability, which allows projects to act as a multiplier when their components are reused, recycled, and adapted by others. This principle is comparable to compounding interest in finance, as it serves as an exponential force driving growth. For example, Uniswap started as a protocol for exchanging tokens and has since evolved into critical infrastructure. In summary, the blog post emphasizes the growing number of active developers in the crypto industry and their commitment to building innovative solutions, as evidenced by the increase in smart contract deployments and the use of core developer libraries. It also highlights the promising new paths for blockchain scaling, such as L2 blockchains and Ethereum's transition to a proof-of-stake consensus mechanism, which is expected to have a significant impact on the future growth and sustainability of the industry. Content type, weekly top 5. Content publisher, A16Z Crypto, Darren Matsuoka, Eddie Lazarin, Robert Hackett and Stephanie Zinn. Publish date, April 2023. Inside the Economics of MEV, Matt Cutler. Summary: the podcast conversation with Matt Cutler, co-founder and CEO at BlockNative, delves into the infrastructure and economics of the MEV, miner extractable value, supply chain in the Ethereum ecosystem, with a focus on the role of relays. Here are the main points discussed. 1. Economic challenges of relays in MEV supply chain. Matt Cutler discusses the MEV supply chain, emphasizing the importance of relays in the Ethereum network. Despite their critical role as intermediaries between validators and builders, relays face economic challenges due to the lack of incentives, real costs and risks, and even negative economics in some cases. Matt argues that addressing these issues is essential for encouraging participation, diversity, and resilience in the relay ecosystem. 2. MEV relays improve efficiency and security, but face monetization and market challenges. The speakers explore the contributions of MEV relays to the Ethereum network, including increased efficiency, enhanced security, and deflationary pressure. However, they also discuss the difficulties MEV relays face in monetizing their services and maintaining a sustainable market structure. Concerns include the relay market's fragility, potential centralization, and the fungible nature of relay services, making differentiation and competition challenging. 3. Urgent implementation of in-protocol PBS for sustainability and equity. The speakers stress the need for fast-tracking in-protocol PBS, priority-based sequencing, in Ethereum due to sustainability concerns for the relay ecosystem and the importance of approaching it as a public good. They emphasize public goods funding over free market monetization and stress the need to create a more equitable distribution of MEV, miner maximal extractable value, while addressing centralizing incentives arising from latency infrastructure advantages. 4. Order flow auctions, a solution for mitigating MEV and empowering users. The key point is the introduction of order flow auctions and the increasing role of wallets in the MEV supply chain. Participants concur that users should have greater control over transactions and preferences, with potential for significant MEV improvements. Order flow auctions let users reveal transaction intent early, enabling searchers to bid on opportunities and redistribute value to users, wallets, and protocols. The panelists argue that wallets and applications should be more MEV aware, and order flow auctions could be a transformative solution to decrease MEV exposure and return value to users. 5. Account abstraction in Ethereum introduces user intent layer and bundlers. The introduction of account abstraction in Ethereum, via EIP 4337, creates a user intent layer and introduces bundlers. This change enhances wallet functionality and enables more intricate user interactions with the blockchain. Users can express their desired actions through smart contract wallets using 4,337 wallets and pseudo-transactions called user ops. These are submitted to alternative mempools, which could lead to fragmentation. Bundlers serve as EOA proxies, collecting user ops, bundling them, and submitting the bundle to the public mempool or a builder. This process resembles block building and could result in builders becoming bundlers, indicating supply chain integration. Account abstraction aims to enhance the Ethereum user experience without necessitating a hard fork, allowing new wallet features like social account recovery, gas sponsorship, and multi-part transactions. However, the added complexity also presents new risks and potential inefficiencies to consider within the ecosystem. 6. Visa and account abstraction could supercharge crypto user experience and adoption. The speakers discuss the potential for credit card issuers, such as Visa, to transform the user experience of cryptocurrencies through the implementation of account abstraction. 4,337. This development could bring a massive influx of new users who may not even be aware they are using Ethereum, thereby driving mainstream adoption of cryptocurrencies. By using smart contract wallets and providing a native way of recovering keys, account abstraction has the potential to address security concerns that have been barriers to entry for many potential users. As large, regulated entities like Visa become more involved in the crypto space, they could help shape the regulatory environment in a more rational manner for all participants. However, the growth of the ecosystem will also bring challenges in terms of regulation and maintaining decentralization. Content type, weekly top 5. Content publisher, Blockworks. Publish date, April 2023. What DeFi Gets Wrong About RWAs, Robert Leshner. Summary: in this podcast conversation, guest Robert Leshner, founder of Compound Labs, delve into various aspects of the DeFi ecosystem, regulations, real-world assets and app chains. Here are the main points discussed. 1. Coordinated effort to debank crypto. The guests talk about a potential coordinated effort to debank the cryptocurrency industry, similar to Operation Choke Point. They note that U.S. government actions against crypto companies, such as the SEC's crackdown on Kraken and CFTC's probe into Binance, are impacting the sector. They also mention that U.S. banks Silvergate and Signature Bank have ceased functioning as on- and off-ramps for crypto. They believe the collapse of FTX may have provided justification for those already biased against crypto. 2. DeFi's future and Compound Treasury closure. Rob explains that the current climate led to Compound Treasury's closure, a platform connecting institutions to DeFi through a compliant central counterparty. They attribute this to institutions' concerns about counterparty risk and a shift towards traditional finance. The guests discuss DeFi's long-term benefits, such as self-custody, transparency, and automation, which could make it superior to centralized finance and eventually attract more users. 3. The advantages of decentralized finance, DeFi, over traditional finance. Rob emphasizes the benefits of DeFi, such as automation, composability, and network effects. In traditional finance, customers of different institutions cannot benefit from the advancements in other institutions. In contrast, DeFi allows for interoperability, which means that improvements in one platform benefit all users within the ecosystem. Rob believes that eventually, the virtues of DeFi will win over traditional finance, and people will flock back to DeFi in full force. 4. U.S. versus offshore crypto development. Rob addresses the challenging regulatory environment in the U.S. for crypto innovation, noting that even compliant organizations face difficulties. They advise new founders to consider building offshore in more favorable environments for crypto innovation. Rob acknowledges that they would likely have located offshore if starting Compound Labs today, given the current landscape. 5. Real-world assets on blockchain. The conversation explores whether it is better to bring off-chain assets on-chain or vice versa. Rob favors bringing off-chain assets on-chain, making them more useful, programmable, and composable. Examples include stocks, bonds, commodities, real estate, and art. They believe that the trend of taking on-chain assets off-chain is not a sustainable long-term approach, likening it to starting a newspaper about cryptocurrency. 6. Stablecoin landscape. The discussion covers the stablecoin market following USDC's recent depegging, viewing it as a chance to enhance reliability and lessen dependence on traditional finance. Decentralized stablecoins tracking inflation, like Coinbase's proposal, are considered, but concerns about usability and consumer adoption are raised. Rob suggests that such a stablecoin might gain popularity if the US dollar experiences hyperinflation. 7. The app chain thesis. The conversation delves into the value and relevance of application-specific chains, app chains, in DeFi. The guest highlights their potential usefulness for specialized performance needs but notes limited applicability and composability between chains. They also mention user experience and composability challenges in the Cosmos ecosystem, making it difficult for users to move assets and value across chains. 8. Reputation, limit orders, and security. The discussion explores potential DeFi gaps, including on-chain reputation, limit order books, and safer DeFi. The guest expresses doubt about on-chain reputation systems due to unsecured credit challenges and lack of clear use cases. They note that limit orders exist on platforms like 1inch, Matcha, and Uniswap but require enough MEV for inclusion. Limit orders do function in DeFi, though not explicitly labeled as such. 9. Limit orders on blockchain viability. The conversation compares Solana and Ethereum's success in implementing limit orders, addressing data structure and usability. Rob points out the issues with costly and inconvenient on-chain transactions for canceling limit orders. They express skepticism about the widespread adoption of limit orders on blockchain due to these problems, while noting that centralized exchanges provide better experiences for managing orders. Point 10. DeFi security and better tooling. The discussion covers security challenges in distributed governance systems versus centralized ones. The speaker stresses the need for improved security tooling and practices in DeFi projects, and highlights the value of investing in adaptable founders in the rapidly changing crypto ecosystem, rather than focusing solely on their initial ideas. Content type, podcast interview, content publisher, Blockworks, published date, April 2023. Bankless Weekly Rollup, 3rd week of April 2023. Summary. The Bankless podcast hosts discuss events in the news related to cryptocurrency, regulations, and market trends. Here is a detailed overview of each event. 1. Grilling of Gary Gensler in front of Congress. SEC Chairman Gary Gensler faced intense questioning from Congress members about the classification of Ether, his approach to the digital asset industry, and potential restructuring of the SEC. Some Congress members voiced their frustrations with Gensler and the SEC's approach to regulation, while others expressed support for Gensler's work. Gensler also discussed the recent failure of 3 banks, 2 of which were involved in the crypto business, Silvergate and Signature Bank, suggesting their failures might be relevant to ongoing discussions about cryptocurrency regulations. 2. Ethereum Chapella upgrade. The speakers discussed the amount of Ether withdrawn from and deposited into the Beacon chain 1 week after the Ethereum Chapella upgrade. Approximately 0.65 million Ether was withdrawn, leaving around 18.64 million Ether staked in the Beacon chain. 3. Ethereum Layer 2 client. An Ethereum Layer 2 solution received its second client, a positive development for the ecosystem, as it increases decentralization and resilience. 4th, Rocket Pool upgrade. Rocket Pool, a decentralized staking protocol, underwent its largest protocol upgrade to date, which increases capital efficiency and allows Rocket Pool to compete better with centralized exchange staking and other staking providers. 5. Wallets drained. Thousands of Ethereum wallets had their Ether drained due to an unknown exploit. The speakers expressed concern about this event and discussed the importance of staying informed about potential security threats in the cryptocurrency space. In addition to these events, the conversation also touched on market trends and the overall state of the cryptocurrency industry, noting that it remains unclear whether the market is in a bear or bull phase. Other topics discussed include: 1. SEC targeting DeFi. SEC Chairman Gary Gensler warned decentralized finance, DeFi, platforms to register as a national securities exchanger or broker-dealer. Coin Center, a nonprofit focused on cryptocurrency education and advocacy, has argued that the SEC's proposal to redefine the term exchange to include decentralized exchanges, DEXs, is a violation of free speech rights. 2. Hester Peirce's dissent. SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce publicly dissented from the SEC's aggressive expansion of regulatory reach into the DeFi space, arguing for practical adjustments to the regulatory framework to help entrepreneurs register. 3. Uniswap wallet approval. Uniswap Labs released a non-custodial wallet, demonstrating a willingness to work within the regulatory framework. 4. New Optimism client. A second Layer 2 client for Optimism, a scaling solution for Ethereum, has been released, indicating growth and increased decentralization for the Layer 2 ecosystem. 5. Solana Phone. Solana Mobile released the Saga, a flagship security-conscious crypto-first Android device, providing an open-source and decentralized option in the phone market. 6. Rocket Pool Atlas upgrade. Rocket Pool, a decentralized staking-as-a-service provider for Ethereum, released the Atlas upgrade, which reduces the collateral demand for Rocket Pool from 16 ETH to 8 ETH, allowing for more accessible and efficient staking options for users. 7. Trump NFTs. Former President Donald Trump released a series of NFT trading cards, which quickly sold out. 8. 1inch on ZK Sync. Decentralized exchange aggregator 1inch has been deployed on ZK Sync, a Layer 2 scaling solution for Ethereum. 9. Apple Savings Account. Apple, in partnership with Goldman Sachs, introduced a savings account feature with a 4.15% APY for Apple Card and Apple Cash users. 10. Permissionless 2, the second Permissionless Conference, a gathering of crypto natives, is scheduled to take place in Austin, Texas. 11. Mocking crypto. They talked about the frustration over people mocking cryptocurrency as just speculation without real value, pointing out that many potential use cases for crypto are rendered illegal by regulators. Examples mentioned include instant stock trade settlements, liquid transparent exchanges for alternative assets, non-custodial exchanges for bonds and stocks, instant transactions among banks, stablecoin payments to merchants, and regulatory reporting for funds and exchanges. 12. Backed by the Army. They discussed the tweet pointing out that the US dollar is backed by the military, arguing that while it's true to some extent, it's also grim from a moral standpoint. They acknowledged the role of violence and military force as a final settlement layer in nation-states. Content type, news coverage. Content publisher, Bankless. Publish date, April 2023. Shanghai Capella, ETH staking withdrawals. Summary: the conversation featuring Tim Biko, Justin Drake, and Anthony Sassano and the Bankless podcast hosts discuss Ethereum's recent the Shanghai Capella hard fork, staking, and future upgrades. Here are the main points discussed. 1. Ethereum's Shanghai Capella hard fork enables long-awaited staking withdrawals. The speakers discuss the Shanghai Capella hard fork in the Ethereum network, which enables staking withdrawals for the first time. This upgrade allows validators to withdraw their staked Ether, ETH, a function that has been unavailable since the network transitioned to proof of stake. The hard fork includes a queuing mechanism to handle potential issues with increased withdrawal demand, making sure the network remains secure and stable. The Shanghai Capella hard fork marks a significant milestone in Ethereum's history as it completes the loop, allowing validators to access their locked staking rewards. 2. Capella upgrade marks transition from early to late majority in Ethereum staking. The significance of the Capella upgrade, previously called Shanghai, to Ethereum's proof of stake (POS) system is discussed. With the introduction of this upgrade, Ethereum's POS is now functionally complete, which is a major milestone in its development. As a result, the network will likely transition from being primarily composed of early adopters to a late majority of users. The Capella upgrade brings increased liquidity to the Ethereum network, as well as enabling withdrawals for the first time. This allows users to withdraw their staked Ether within a reasonable time frame. Additionally, the upgrade is expected to cause a short-term plateau in the amount of Ether staked, followed by a resumption of its linear uptrend. This marks a significant shift in the Ethereum ecosystem, as it moves from being predominantly used by early adopters to a more mainstream audience. 3. Ethereum staking post-Shanghai Capella upgrade. The speakers discuss the impact of the Shanghai Capella upgrade on Ethereum staking and highlight further improvements needed, such as single-slot finality, secret leader election, and proof of burn, to enhance security, resilience, and efficiency. The upgrade is a de-risking event that signals Ethereum's commitment to its roadmap and paves the way for exciting developments in staking, strengthening the overall ecosystem. 4. Unlocking of staked Ether. The speakers address various misconceptions and pieces of misinformation surrounding the event, particularly the notion that the unlocking of staked ETH will lead to a massive sell-off and a drop in the price. They emphasize that many people misunderstand the Ethereum proof-of-stake system and the deposit and withdrawal queue. The speakers argue that the withdrawal event is very different from a typical token unlock, as it involves staking withdrawals on a major network like Ethereum. 5. Competition among Ethereum staking services benefits ETH stackers. The most important point discussed in the transcript revolves around the benefits of competition among Ethereum staking services for ETH stackers. Justin Drake highlights that once withdrawals are enabled, it will introduce competition among staking service providers, which has been lacking for the past couple of years. He expects users to move away from large operators like Coinbase, which charge higher fees, to smaller providers or even solo validating, resulting in a more robust and healthy Ethereum ecosystem. Increased competition can lead to lower staking fees and better services for ETH stackers, ultimately benefiting Ethereum's long-term success. This, in turn, could increase the value of ETH holdings. Additionally, having a more diverse staking ecosystem reduces the risks associated with correlated failures and penalties within the protocol. The discussion implies that greater competition in the staking market will have overall positive effects on the Ethereum ecosystem and the value of ETH for stakeholders. 6. Making solo staking easier for Ethereum users. The most important point discussed in the transcript is the impact of the Chappelle upgrade on solo staking within the Ethereum ecosystem. The Chappelle upgrade benefits solo stackers, who run their own validator and stake their own Ether, by allowing them to receive rewards periodically and making the process more manageable. With this upgrade, users can now try solo staking without the fear of indefinite lockup periods for their funds. If they decide that solo staking is not for them, they can withdraw their funds and return to other methods of staking. This flexibility not only promotes experimentation but also makes solo staking more accessible and less daunting for users. Additionally, rekeying technology can further improve security for solo stackers by enabling anti-slashing protection and hardware wallet-like features. Content type: podcast interview. Content publisher: Bankless. Publish date: April 2023. Checks and balances: machine learning and zero-knowledge proofs. Summary: this blog explores the application of zero-knowledge proofs in machine learning, emphasizing their potential in enhancing trustlessness, verifiability, and privacy. The author outlines the value of zero-knowledge proofs in scaling compute-constrained networks, protecting user privacy in transactions, and verifying arbitrary computations beyond blockchains. The rapid development of machine learning models like GPT-4 is paralleled with the potential of decentralized AI models that can be audited and owned by users. The blog highlights the significance of pushing for open-source models or securing private model weights and data with privacy-preserving zero-knowledge proofs, ensuring users benefit from AI systems without sacrificing privacy. 5 potential applications of zero-knowledge proofs in machine learning are discussed: model authenticity, ensuring the claimed model has been run using techniques like functional commitments. Model integrity, verifying the consistent application of the same machine learning algorithm across users' data, maintaining fairness and avoiding bias. Attestations, integrating attestations from verified external parties into a model or smart contract through signature verification using zero-knowledge proofs. Decentralized inference or training, conducting machine learning inference or training in a decentralized manner and submitting data to public models using zero-knowledge proofs to compress the model. Proof of personhood, verifying a user's unique identity without compromising privacy, achieved by creating a verification method and using zero-knowledge proofs to ensure user privacy. Despite the early stage of practical zero-knowledge proof applications in machine learning, advances in algorithms are expanding possible use cases, such as WorldCoin's Proof of Personhood protocol and Jason Morton's EZKL library. The blog also discusses model architectures and challenges related to implementing snarks in machine learning models on blockchain. Snarks have enabled the verification of complex computations in a succinct and non-interactive manner, crucial for putting machine learning models on-chain. Teams employ custom circuits in existing architectures like Plunk, Plunky2, Air, and more, with Halo 2 emerging as a popular backend. Other teams focus on a generalized VM strategy or custom frameworks based on Justin Thaler's super-efficient proof systems. Developers need to consider prover time and memory for machine learning models, aiming for relatively fast proof generation and proof sizes around a few kilobytes to prove the correct execution of machine learning models in zero knowledge. Developers must encode model architecture, parameters, constraints, and matrix multiplication operations as circuits, converting these properties into arithmetic operations over a finite field. The field is in its early stages, and accuracy and fidelity might suffer when converting a model into a circuit. Simplifications and approximations may be necessary, and some precision could be lost when encoding arithmetic operations. Zero-knowledge proofs currently cannot represent 32-bit floating-point operations without massive overheads, so developers may opt for quantized machine learning models with 8-bit precision. As zero-knowledge proofs become more optimized, machine learning models grow in complexity. Promising areas for optimization include proof recursion, emerging frameworks like Linear A's fork of Apache's Tensor Virtual Machine, TVM, and future work to make representing 32-bit integers in snarks more feasible. The blog distinguishes between two definitions of scale. Snarks scale through compression, while machine learning scales through expansion. Blockchain networks encourage developers to optimize their code for computational feasibility and cost-effectiveness, benefiting proof systems. In conclusion, the blog highlights the growing potential of zero-knowledge proofs in enhancing trust, verifiability, and privacy in machine learning applications. These advancements can lead to decentralized, auditable, and user-owned AI systems that respect user privacy and provide economic benefits to all stakeholders. While blockchains have incentivized optimizing ZKS and RKS, every field in computing stands to benefit from these advancements. Content type, article, blog post. Content publisher, A16Z Crypto, Elena Berger. Published date, April 2023. A new NFT launch strategy, the Wave Mint. Summary: the blog post titled A New NFT Launch Strategy, the Wave Mint, presents a novel approach to minting non-fungible tokens, NFTs, in order to create a more cohesive and engaged community of holders. The Wave Mint strategy, introduced by 1337 Skulls, is designed to gradually expand participation from closely related NFT communities to a broader audience. This method aims to avoid the pitfalls of free mints, such as gas wars and bots, while fostering a community of like-minded individuals who share the project's goals and values. The Wave Mint operates in a series of waves, where different groups of people are invited to mint sequentially. Each wave lasts from a few minutes to a couple of days, and the participating groups are chosen based on their alignment with the project's culture and objectives. Wallets are limited to a single mint to ensure a broad distribution of holders. The waves progress from trusted ties, creators with strong personal connections and reputation, to strong ties, communities with significant overlap in holder numbers, and finally to subsequent waves targeting larger, weaker tie communities. This strategy builds a core community with trusted and strong ties before expanding outward to more distant networks. The Wave Mint was employed by 1337 Skulls for their own NFT project, focusing on Creative Commons 0, CC0, licensed NFTs. The process started with personal connections and expanded to include holders from other CC0 NFT projects. By gradually introducing waves targeting larger groups and shorter durations, the strategy selected members from weak tie communities who were especially interested in joining. The Wave Mint strategy offers several advantages over traditional allow list methods. It fosters a more engaged community by focusing on existing NFT communities and emphasizing a direct relationship between learning about the project, minting, and community engagement. Wave Mints also provide better control over supply and demand, reducing the risk of gas wars. In addition, the 1 mint per wallet limit reduces the opportunity for manipulation. However, Wave Mints also present operational and security challenges. They require careful coordination between front-end and back-end teams, and their complexity makes them vulnerable to potential security risks. Users must be cautious when participating in Wave Mints, ensuring they verify the legitimacy of the offering and the associated smart contracts. It is crucial for teams to provide clear documentation and maintain strict security practices. In conclusion, the Wave Mint strategy offers a promising approach for building strong, engaged NFT communities. By inviting members from different communities in a series of waves, the strategy fosters a network of holders designed for long-term fit and community health. While further experimentation is needed to refine the wave minting process, it has the potential to become a valuable tool in the NFT project creator's toolbox. Content type, article, blog post. Content publisher, A16Z Crypto, Scott Duke Cominers and 1337 Skulls Sirs. Published date, April 2023. Bankless Weekly Rollup 4th week of April 2023. Summary: in this conversation, the speakers cover various news events related to the cryptocurrency world. Here is a detailed overview of each of the events discussed. Coinbase suing the SEC. Coinbase filed a lawsuit against the SEC over regulatory issues, seeking a clear market structure for trading crypto securities. Gensler's evolving crypto views. the speakers note that Gary Gensler's opinions on cryptocurrencies have shifted since his MIT professorship. While previously endorsing native tokens and considering most of the market not securities, his current stance as SEC chair seems contradictory, leading the speakers to question the reasons behind this change. Coinbase Stand with Crypto initiative. Coinbase launches a campaign allowing users to mint a commemorative Shield NFT, with fees and a 100,000 DAI donation from Coinbase supporting the Gitcoin advocacy round for the crypto industry. Oliver's Crypto Critique. John Oliver, on Last Week Tonight, examines the 2022 collapse of FTX, Terra, and Celsius, concluding that crypto is largely a scam. While the speakers concede the validity of his criticisms, they argue that he overlooks the potential of decentralized alternatives like Uniswap and DAI to replace traditional financial systems. Authorities investigating Sam Bankman-Fried's, SBF, parents. The CEO of FTX's parents are being investigated for potential involvement in a criminal enterprise. Chapella withdrawals. After the Chapella network upgrade, withdrawals from the Ethereum 2.0 beacon chain have slowed down, while deposits have continued. Mt. Gox false alert. A false alert of Mt. Gox Bitcoin wallets making transactions led to a temporary drop in Bitcoin and Ether prices. ETH and BTC prices. The speakers discussed the relatively flat price movements of Bitcoin and Ether over the past week. Safe Wallet's account abstraction. Safe Wallet is working on account abstraction, a new smart contract wallet technology that aims to improve user experience in the crypto space. Other events discussed include market bottom speculation. The speakers debated whether the market has reached its bottom and the potential impact of Lido not yet enabling withdrawals. Top 5 chains by economic activity. Ethereum, Bitcoin, Arbitrum, Tron, and Binance Smart Chain were ranked as the top 5 chains by economic activity. Binance Voyager deal. Binance US terminated its asset purchase agreement with Voyager, citing regulatory challenges. Lens Bonsai Layer 3. Lens is deploying a Layer 3 rollup called Bonsai for processing transactions at hyperscale. DevConnect Istanbul. DevConnect Istanbul 2023 is an upcoming event for developers in the crypto space. Mad Lads NFT Project, a Solana-based NFT project with a 1920s mobster theme that surpassed Bored Apes and Mutant Apes in trading volume. MiCA, Markets in Crypto Assets Regulation. The European Parliament passed a comprehensive regulatory framework for crypto, receiving a B rating from experts. TransUnion DeFi Credit Score. TransUnion is working on providing credit scores on the blockchain for use by DeFi platforms. Swell Network. Swell Network's mainnet is in public beta, offering staking as a service and planning to integrate distributed validator technology. Content type, news coverage. Content publisher, Bankless. Publish date, April 2023.